We will not be racing the V main today. The V-Face money will be available here at the Stars trailer throughout the afternoon.
We see the 27 car rolling out on the speedway now. It took a nasty hit on the front straightaway late yesterday afternoon.
I'd also like to remind the drivers in the pit area you can pick up your heat race money at the Stars trailer at any time. Any of our drivers, you can pick up your heat race money at the Stars trailer at any time here this afternoon and this morning. Made it into the field. Wendell Wallace and Marshall Green, the top two transfer drivers as far as time trials, and we just gave you the remaining balance of the other 18 drivers that qualified through the heat races. Now it's time for the first of two B mains today. 25 laps of distance, top two to transfer. Looks like we'll take about 4 or 5 laps to get these guys used to the racetrack, get it worked in a little bit before we get our first green flag of the afternoon. As you mentioned, Pete, the one thing I know a lot of people are going to be curious about, as you said, a lot of Steve Francis fans on that Rick Eckert trailer right now, hoping that he can transfer. Because talk about bad luck. He had bad luck yesterday, but, I mean, even worse luck. The bigger slap in the face was that, heck, gosh, I mean, I think I can get in on a provisional. Well, heck, the top 2 Stars guys haven't even gotten in yet.
Exactly. You know, everyone says, well, maybe Steve will just make a couple laps and drop out. I don't think so. Steve's going to try to get a lot more track time, try to figure the racetrack out. He's got a long way to go when he does make the A main. Steve's going to let it try to win this thing and try to find out something. Try to find out what the situation is, what kind of tire, what kind of gear, springs, shock situation they can make on that 15. So I think Steve's going for the win, I guarantee you.
Yesterday it used to be a drag race down to turn number 1, and it pretty much ended up everybody on the outside would, well, they knew by the flag stand they couldn't make it. They tried to drop right down to the inside, and that was it. But should be interesting. Possibly a tale of 2 different racetracks between the first B main and the second. Once again, no warm-ups for the drivers here today. We go straight into qualifying and our 100-lap feature. So they have had no time on the track this afternoon, and we will see what's coming up. Ray Cook and Steve Francis up in row 1. Steve Baker in that 84 car, and once again the 1C of Lynn Geisler, the Cochran Automotive car on the outside of that second row.
Row number 3, Barry Bragdon, Timmy Hitt out of Weston in the 3rd row.
You see the 17B of Randy Boggs and the 75 of John Gill lining up in row number 4, looking for a transfer spot today.
Chump rank, Dave Troutman on the outside, and Paul Davis in Greensburg, North Carolina's Ray Tucker make up the next row as we second of 5 pace laps here this afternoon. Track still just a little bit wet, but I think you're going to see a great first B main here, buddy. You know,
we thought we were going to have to pay the Weather Channel $50,000 to get a weekend like this. This is a 50-grand weekend weather-wise. Fans couldn't ask for much better. I think a few of them even got actually hot and had to come out some of those heavy clothes that they brought with them here yesterday.
Here, I tell you, it has been a great weekend. Some of the GRT Youngblood concrete car.
Well, there you see the indication. One more lap around and we'll go green flag racing for the first time today. Qualifications continue on to the Dirt Track World Championship. The A10 of Andy Bond, the CB3 of Clayton Christianberry, C.J. Rayburn, and Aaron Scott. And those final 4 rows of drivers trying to get into the Dirt Track World Championship also include the 0 of Chris Patterson. One of the drivers had lucked out. Some of them, the drivers that were in the B main, did not come back. So Patterson in that 0 car to St. John's, Michigan will now give it a second chance to try and qualify today. 87 of David Smith, the 2C of Clint Kaufman, the 75 of Don Gross, the drivers that round out the field.
Well, buddy, here they come down into 3. Pace truck, the number 1 Cochran pace truck pulls off the field. Set to go, ladies and gentlemen. Turn your attention to 3 and 4. First B main for the 17th running the Dirt Track World Championship. We are underway.
And they almost look like they want to go 3 wide. Look at the jump by Steve Francis on the outside, and Steve Baker also swallowed up Ray Cook on lap number 1.
Ray Cook got shuffled back to 3rd very quickly. I think the horsepower was not there that Ray Cook needed to carry the momentum down into turns number 1, buddy.
He'll have to settle in 3rd for the moment and try and rebound. He'll be the 3rd place car with Lynn Geisler running 4th, Bragdon in 5th.
They complete lap number 1. Geisler 4th into that number 1 Cochran car, the 30-year veteran out of Evans City.
He looked very strong in his heat race yesterday, but it looked like he was about to make a challenge late in the event for a transfer spot, but all of a sudden something just went away, and he's got 2 spots to try and get up in there.
Yeah, Len gets around this racetrack very, very well. He's sitting in the 4th spot, but starting to close a little bit in now on the Ray Tucker automobile.
A little bit of battling for 5th place on. Barry Bragdon holding off Randy Boggs back in 6th. It'll be Tim Hitt 7th, Chump Frank in 8th, and we got our first caution on the speedway.
Looks like the 87 car of David Smith is sideways down in turns 3 and 4, between 3 and 4. Caution rolls out our first of the afternoon. It's the 1997 Stars champion. He has also made this race on 6 different occasions also. Both drivers going for their 7th appearance in this race here this afternoon.
And you see 2 drivers that know exactly what they need to do to get in the field. They are
not shoot. Francis pushes the gun, and we are off out of 3 and 4.
All righty, on the outside comes one driver way back at about 5th, 6th. That's the Tim Hitt machine going around 2 cars and in the 4th place. Tim Hitt got a huge bite on the outside.
Yeah, Tim Hitt really shot off of turn 4, used that outside, a lot of bite, as Hitt now works his way up into the, I believe, 5th spot in the 68 car.
He's making a run on Lynn Geisler. Now he'll go outside again. In the 4th, Tim Hitt is on a roll.
Tim Hitt found the outside to his liking and went around Lynn Geisler. A lot of bite, buddy, on the outside of the speedway, and Hitt has found the fastest way around the racetrack. When this racetrack has got a lot of bite, the fastest way is to keep the momentum up on the outside.
And he's got to hurry to get around Ray Cook, because those top 2 drivers, Steve Francis and Steve Baker, checking out. Here he goes again. Tim Hitt goes for 3rd.
Hitt really, a little bit high, slips up.
But look at the bite. He still gets way up in the high groove right now, and he goes into 3rd spot. He's about a half straight away down to the top 2 drivers.
This is going to get interesting right now. You've got Francis on the front row, Baker running 2nd.
A caution in a way would be a godsend, but the way Tim Hitt's running, I don't think he's going to need it. He is going to be closing on those front 2 drivers as Steve Francis continues to lead. Couple car lengths over Steve Baker down the backstretch. Hitt is closing in 3rd. You called it. It's going to be a good one down towards the end.
Here they come. They shuffle out of turn 4, down the front, long front shoot into turns number 1. Francis about a 2-car length lead over the Fairmont driver of Baker, but closing in very quickly. This capacity crowd right now has got their eyes on the gentleman out of Weston, West Virginia, Tim Hitt.
Oh, I tell you, when he made that pass on Ray Cook, this place went electric, and he is closing on Baker. He's rim riding around the speedway, closing back in 3rd.
Here comes Hitt now. You're right, buddy. He has closed it up to about 2 car lengths right behind Steve Baker.
He is simply a joy to watch right now. The driver of car number 68 starting back in the number 6 spot, but has earned his right up there. Francis now beginning to open up a little bit of daylight, and Baker now has gotten almost to hear that motor coming behind him.
Hitt now right on the back bumper of Steve Baker.
And it looks like Baker slips up in turn number 1 and 2, but Hitt can't take advantage of it as they go down the back straightaway. Couple car length separation between them. Back and forth, it's still Ray Cook. Lynn Geisler back in 5th.
Ray Cook lost the draft of those first 3 cars. He's sitting way in the back. Cook has got to make a move. Lynn Geisler still running forward. Barry Bragdon and Randy Boggs. Those cars are all out of contention. Only the front 2 cars move into the A main.
Francis is beginning to pull away, taking advantage of a great battle between Steve Baker and Tim Hitt down in turn number 1 and 2. Cook remains in 4th. Geisler 5th. Bragdon back in 6th. Boggs 7th. Chump Frank 8th. And Paul Davis back in 9th.
Well, the front 3 cars, buddy, has pulled away right now as they exit turn number 4. Across the stripe, they have pulled just about a 4 to 5 second lead at least over the 3rd place car of Ray Tucker.
And we're nearing the halfway point in the first 25 lap B main. 12 laps will go in the record books. This time by all Steve Francis. Powering by on the outside on the initial lap. It's Hitt again, looking top shelf on Steve Baker as he comes off 4 and Hitt right up to the rear spoiler.
Good battle for that 3rd spot. Young Tim Hitt currently 2nd in Stars points in 1997, trying to move move up one more spot on the chassis builder out of Fairmont, Steve Baker.
It is challenging on the outside, but once again draws right back in behind Baker. And Pete, lap traffic is going to be a factor for these two drivers very soon.
Yeah, young Tim Hitt, 33 years old, out of Weston, began his racing career 12 years ago, and has had a lot of good finishes lately here at the Speedway, trying to move into that last and ever so important transfer spot.
A little bit different line as he came off turn 4. He'd been rim-robbing. He dropped it down to the inside, but it wasn't there. He's still 3 car lengths back. We have got a plethora of lap traffic coming up for your top 3 cars.
We'll have to watch. Lap traffic may play into those first, second, and third place cars this time as they come by.
Coming back down to the stripe, Steve Francis begins it. Look out, it's Baker, and Hitt will make it Francis. Baker goes for it as Francis trying to make the decision in lap traffic. Baker up high, your new leader down the back straightaway. Francis drops to second, and lap traffic plays a key factor. The minute Steve Francis hits it, time to make some key decisions.
Here they come, buddy. Going to be interesting coming down the front chute this time. Baker decides to go on the outside of Clint Kaufman. Also, Francis does. Francis goes up a little bit high, slips up.
Those two drivers, Tim Hitt and Steve Francis, looking to make it into the field. And Tim Hitt trying in vain with Clint Kaufman's left car in front. Steve Francis will pull back ahead and stay in second. Field coming back off turn 4. Baker begins to open the advantage as he kills lap traffic. It's still Baker as Francis and Hitt make the top 3.
Hitt now looks down on the inside. Can he make the move? Make it stick down on the inside. There they go. They sandwich Clint Kaufman in the middle. Hitt decides to back off the throttle very wisely and set back into third.
And Clint Kaufman goes for a ride in turn number 4. May have been a little contact between he and Francis. That'll bring the yellow out here on lap number 17. And Pete, you could have asked for a better start to qualifying here this afternoon.
Well, I knew it was going to be a dandy, this first 20-lapper here in the first B main of the afternoon, as Steve Baker, Steve Francis, and Tim Hitt have traded sheet metal and a little bit of paint, numbers and all. Those last 10 laps or so have been very exciting as we get our second caution rolling out, this time for the Kaufman automobile. Francis, two-time national champion, wrapped up the championship a number of weeks ago at 6 national wins, including 5 Stars Checkers in 1997. Had one great year.
That lap machine of Don Gross, interesting to see where they will place him on the restart, and that might be advantageous to Steve Baker as Gross will be number 2 physically in line. And that may give Baker a chance to pull away, well, only with 8 laps to go, and try and run in high.
Sitting in that third spot, Tim Hitt, who's also had a great year, 2 stars.
Cook had to hit the binders for a moment, but gathers it back in.
Boy, a very, very close call back on the back straightaway. We get the green flag, just a few laps to go. They exit out of turn 4, power down into turn 1, buddy.
And it didn't take long for Steve Francis and Tim Hitt to dispose of Don Gross, and the front 3 will now hook up and head down that back straightaway.
Steve Baker pulls away. Tim Hitt looks on the outside, tries a move. Look at this.
He's going back to what made him successful in the early part of this race. The top 2 in Stars points really having at it.
Steve Francis looked like just coming over a little bit on Hitt that time and not getting the line that he needed going into turn 1, and not too much friendship showed between teammates there going down into turn 1 that time.
Baker leads him back to the stripe. Lap 20 goes on the board, 5 to go. Francis and Hitt, not as close as it were a lap ago. Now it's Lynn Geisler running in the number 4 spot. Ray Cook has dropped back to 5th.
We know we were hoping so much for Ray Cook. Had a good starting spot on the outside. Got shuffled back to 3rd very quickly in this race. Now moves back into 4th. His day may be over for the Murphy, North Carolina driver.
And we certainly hope to see him back here next year in the Dirt Track World Championship. If he cannot make it in, he is back in 5th as the front trio work back in turn number 1 and 2. Here comes Francis for another time.
Francis now starts to pull away from Hitt. As that outside, as Hitt has been running lap after lap. Look at the way Hitt goes into turn 3, buddy.
Those front 3 now begin to tighten up as Tim Hitt now rim rides again and works back, trying to catch the front 2 drivers. And we have a caution. One driver coming to a stop high in turn number 4. That looks to be the 75 of Don Gross, and not sure. I don't know if there's some debris back behind that car or something else, but Gross bringing out the 3rd caution here in the first 25-lap B main. It's Clint Kaufman, but it looks like the day is over for Don Gross. He was 1 lap down on the restart. Don climbs from the car and evidently will get the hook. Here today. Chubb Frank of the one-star machine back there in the number 6 spot. 77 to Barry Bragdon in 7. 111 to Paul Davis in 8. 17B of Randy Boggs 9th, and the 56 of Gary Webb in 10th. Still need a best of the rest race one of these days, because look at the talent that is not going to make it. And you almost wish you could have a best of the rest after everything is all set.
Lap number 23 this time, out of 3 and 4. They come, green flies. We're back underway, single file. They power down the front chute. They kick him into gear, down into 1.
Tim Hitt goes right back to work, Pete. He went on the outside off of turn number 4. He tries the inside, but it's not there, and the front 3 remain the same as they go down the back chute.
3 cars pull away from the rest of the field. They're going to settle up amongst themselves with just a couple of laps to go. Out of 4 they come.
Steve Baker leads him. He'll take the 2 to go sign. This time by again, Tim Hitt rim rides off turn number 4, but Francis has him covered. And as you mentioned, they will decide it amongst themselves. They pulled right away from the Lynn Geisler car.
Steve Baker gets a lot of real estate in between him and the second place car, Francis. They exit turn 4 into 3. Now coming out of 4, good lead by those top 3 cars, white cloth being indicated.
And Baker made the statement there on the restart, I want this to be decided by me. Heck with the other 2 drivers. I want to go ahead and win this thing, and he has started now to pull away.
Well, Steve Baker puts the Phil Lucon car. He's got 1, 2 turns to negotiate. He negotiates 3. Now coming out of 4 under the stripe. He'll go into the 17th running of the Dirt Track World Championship. Steve Baker moving into the A-main also. Steve Francis in the 15 car. Those 2 cars automatically go into the A-main event here this afternoon.
And despite the fact he finished 3rd, it looks like the 68 of Tim Hitt will also make the field with a Stars provisional. And now that's a good story for Rick Eckert, because he has got to start way back in the field in that second consi, and a huge weight has just been lifted off that driver's shoulders here this afternoon. Coming down in the staging area, getting ready to be weighed and see if everything's okay, and the latest driver to transfer into the Dirt Track World Championship in car number 84, Steve Baker out of Fairmont, West Virginia, taking the first 25-lap B-main this afternoon. The 15 of Stars champion Steve Francis out of Ashland, Kentucky will come home second, finishing 3rd today. The 68 of Tim Hitt out of Weston, West Virginia. We're going to take it down trackside. Dal Cornahan is patiently waiting for Steve Baker to exit the scales, and we'll get a few words with that driver in just a moment.
All righty, Steve Baker making the drive across the scales just to make sure it is official. Yes, the nod of the head. And he is into the Dirt Track World Championship again, the West Virginia rim rider out of Fairmont. Let's get a word. Steve, congratulations, buddy. A heck of a job.
Thank you, Dow. After I screw up yesterday qualifying, I owed that to the guys in the pits. You know, we've had a good race car here all weekend. We were pretty fast on Friday. Our car was fast in hot laps yesterday. I just screwed up qualifying. I owed that to those guys because they really worked hard. And like I said, the race car's been fast. It's just a shame we got to start so far back now, but we're going to give it our best shot.
What about the move for the lead in traffic on the outside?
Well, I held my breath for a long time, Dow.
Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you.
Steve Baker, your winner of the first Pro Shocks B-main. Let's get a quick word with Steve Francis if we can. Steve, it hasn't been the best of weekend, but you're in the Dirt Track World Championship again.
Yeah, when you come in here and draw, an early pill, it pretty much means your weekend's run when the sun's out. Now, if it had been a cloudy, overcast, rainy weekend, that early pill would have been good. That's just the luck of the draw.
You started out with a lead, you got into traffic, and Steve went by. Did the car go away from you a little bit, or, were you just being conservative?
No, we've just been a little conservative, just trying to kind of save us some room and make sure we didn't get no wrecks.
All right, Timmy's got it closer to you, too. Congratulations, Steve is in. All right, so there you have it, Pete. Thank you, Dow, as we get back ready for the second heat race. Tim Hitt giving Steve Francis a little bit of push off the scales, playing push truck, you might say there.
Tim says, I need to get back to my trailer, and I got some work to do. We are possibly in the field today in the Dirt Track World Championship as the second B-main now begins to line up. Bart Hartman out of Zanesville, Ohio. Good finish in the Hillbilly 100 earlier this year, and the hottest driver lately in late model racing with big wins at Winchester, Hagerstown, and Portsmouth, Ohio. He'll start on the pole position in race number 2. Rex Ritchie out of Chatsworth, Georgia, in car number 23 on the outside.
The Iowan, the 15 of Brian Brookhover, will start on the second row on the inside. Outside of him will be Parkersburg, West Virginia, the 30 car of Steve Shaver.
Taking a look at that third row, it's a biggie. The 17M of Dale McDowell from Chattanooga, Tennessee, in the Monday Trucking GRT chassis machine. And on the outside, from Fargo, North Dakota, the 12A of Rick Auckland.
Next row, we'll see that Bill McCall out of Wheelersburg, Ohio, in the 48 car, Greensburg, Pennsylvania's Davey Johnson.
Taking you back into the next row today, the winningest driver of the Northeast in late model racing for 1996, the 28B of Dick Barton out of Jamestown, New York. As we mentioned earlier, the 1997 champion of the Hagerstown Speedway in Maryland, the County Truck Service 01, Rodney Franklin out of Cross Junction, Virginia.
Keith Berner out of Millersburg, Ohio, will be aboard the 96 car, and the chauffeur out of Morgantown, West Virginia, is the 32 of Dave Groves.
Taking you back to row number 8 today, the top stars rookie of the year in 1997 from Bristol, West Virginia, the 25 of Mike Benedum, and on the outside from Danville, Illinois, the long, tall, cool one, Bob Pierce in car number 32P.
Next row, we'll see Beckley, West Virginia, the 90 of Ernie Davis. In West Union, West Virginia's Butch McGill, scheduled to start in the 1MC.
Pair of Mountaineers will be back behind him, the 31 of Denny Chamberlain from Lost Creek, West Virginia. Steve Lucas in the 5L out of Charleston, West Virginia, will flank him.
A chair went up after that heat race. York, Pennsylvania's the 24. He's in the Conti of Rick Eckert out of York, Pennsylvania. And Bobby Burgess in the 34 car out of Plum, Pennsylvania.
Rounding out
I don't know if you saw when I was interviewing Steve Francis, Tim Hitt started pushing him as I was talking to him. I thought he was just having fun at first, but I realized that the car was overheating. So Tim Hitt, they're looking under the hood of the car, and it got a little hot after that first Pro Shocks V-Main in 68.
Thank you, Dow. As we get ready now, it looks like, buddy, we got some alternates that have been put into the field. Looking back in the back of the pack, the 1K of Jim Kudus. He has made the field in the 1K, and Don Clark is also in the field in the 1 car. Those cars are in the B-Main, the last row. They make up the last row, the 2 1 cars.
Few other down for the green flag in just a few moments. The outside, once again being paced by the 23 of Rex Ritchie, the Georgia driver having a good run. Brian Burkover from the Midwest and Steve Shaver, the hometown favorite from Parkersburg, West Virginia, there in that second row.
Very interesting. Bart Hartman, one of the hottest cars in the country the last 30 days, sitting on the front row. Good starting spot for him. I like this guy on the outside, Chatsworth, Georgia's Rex Ritchie, second-generation driver. His dad ran back here in the mid to late 70s, Joe Ritchie. Glad to see him on the outside of the 23. Good starting spot for him. Pace truck starts to pick it up, buddy. We should be green underway, second and final B-Main of the afternoon for this running of the Dirt Track World Championship.
Well, we mentioned row 3 was going to be interesting, but one of the cars not out there, the 17M of Dale McDowell. He is a scratch here, so Rick Auckland will pull to the inside of row number 3. Bill Bocook in the B1, look out for him as well. He's been very impressive here this weekend.
Good start coming off before. Bart Hartman pulls the field down into 1. Hartman very quickly establishing the lead as he works over the bridge into 2.
Rex Ritchie will tuck into the number 2 spot. Down the back straightaway, Steve Shaver goes to 3rd. Burkhofer in 4th, Barton 5th. Auckland already looking on the inside.
Everybody trying to establish a position for lap number 1. A lot of jockeying as C.S. Fitzgerald on the outside. Fitzgerald trying to work. They go 3 wide down the front chute into 1. We've got trouble, buddy.
Faber jumbled up in turn number 4. Oh, we got a major tangle. Bill Bocook in the B1 went for a slide, and Rodney Franklin couldn't get out of the way and shear some sheet metal on the 01 car. The 02 of Jody Moore is also involved, but a huge hit down in turn 1.
Buddy, they were 3 wide. Something had to give. It tightened up on a lot of the drivers going into turn 1, and 1 car went out of control into the outside retaining wall. Rodney Franklin, just an innocent bystander, standing on the corner and nowhere to go, went clear up over the 1 car. He's both glad to see the drivers, all 3 of the drivers out of the car and all right. Well over 100 miles an hour they enter that turn, and to tell you what, man, nowhere to go. You have to react very quickly. It tightens up very quickly down into turn 1.
Turn 1 was the big area of concern yesterday. There was a lot of heavy hitting going on down there, and as we mentioned over in turn 3 and 4, they were getting jumbled up, and as Pete just mentioned, somebody had to give, and unfortunately did. And the B1 of Bill Bocook has had a great weekend up until this point, a very impressive qualifying effort in time trials yesterday, and really ran well in his heat race until he started just to fade a little bit towards the end, but I had high hopes that this B1 was going to be a threat for the top 2 spots here today.
Here we
Pete, I don't know if the fans can see it or not, but right here where Jody Moore's car hit the guardrail, it has busted the guardrail away, and the bottom row of the guardrail is gone right there where the 02 car went into this wall hard. All drivers are okay, but 3 badly damaged race cars.
Now how much damage on the 01 of Rodney Franklin. We look at it from right here. It looks like a lot of damage to the 01 of Franklin.
Franklin, I haven't got up that far yet, but yeah, it's both, all 3 cars are in pretty bad shape right here. The guardrail, as I said, the guardrail is broken away.
Thank you, Dow. Dow Carnahan down over in turn number 1.
Gross and Dick Potts to get the double hooks will be Rodney Franklin. Bo Cook also getting the hook. Wheelersburg, Ohio driver will go off on the back straightaway, and we will realign them and get set to go back to green here momentarily.
Into the pits.
And a very dejected Rodney Franklin down low, walking back to the pits. That long walk, you don't want to make it, but he's going to have to today here at Pennsboro. Very fortunate that we were able to have a great weather weekend.
Well, I hope we have another nice weekend next weekend for the Hub City 150 coming up at the Hagerstown Speedway. Big 2-day show coming up just about 5 days away.
I think one of the biggest races that everybody enjoys is the race of track champions. A lot of drivers that won championships in the Northeast have a chance to compete in a 25-lap race, which pays $1,500 to win. That vacations of the double file start with Hartman and Rex Ritchie still up front. Brian Burkhofer and Steve Shaver again making up row number 2.
You know, I think if Rex Ritchie's got a good shot to get the lead on the opening, I think he's got to be at least side by side into 3, definitely coming out of 4, and maybe get a little bit more horsepower on the outside. But if Bart Hartman jumps him coming out of just a little bit, I tell you, I don't think Rex is going to be able to stay Hartman in that 75 car down on the inside. Rex is...
Shaver, Rick Auckland down on the inside, back in row number 3 as we get set for the green flag.
Shaver on the outside. Here they come once again. Ritchie, a little bit better start this time, buddy.
Rex Ritchie hangs with them and tries to get down to the inside. Ritchie will do it. Great run for Ritchie on the outside. Can he make it stick? He'll try off turn number 2.
He does. Good bit of driving by the young driver out of Chatsworth, Georgia, Rex Ritchie.
And look at Davey Johnson. He got around a couple cars. Johnson puts that 48 into 3rd here on lap number 1.
We're coming up to complete lap number 1. Ritchie leads the pack down the front straightaway, drops Hartman back to 2nd. But I mean, everyone on Davey Johnson's hauler jumped up as he jumped into 3rd spot real quick.
Great run for the driver of car number 48. Hasn't been the season he wanted, but he's got the horses right now, and I believe they blew a motor earlier this weekend, so a good comeback as Johnson tries on the outside, coming off of turn number 4. He and Hartman will fight back to the stripe.
He tries that same line that Tim Hitt used in the first qualifier. Davey Johnson looking on the outside. Can he make it stick, buddy?
They are jumbled up as Hartman is right there on Ritchie, coming off of turn number 2. He can't make a mistake. Here goes Davey Johnson for the number 2 spot.
Boy, Johnson looked like he almost got into that outside guardrail. He didn't this time. Here comes Davey on the outside. He tries it. He makes it stick. He moves into 2nd.
He tucked it in where there was no room at all, and Davey Johnson takes over the number 2 spot. Ritchie, Johnson, Hartman, a very tight top 3, with Shaver and Auckland, the top 5.
Davey Johnson tries to pull on the outside of the Chatsworth, Georgia driver, Rex Ritchie. Here they come, buddy. Look at this.
Davey is not satisfied for 2nd. He wants in. He takes the lead here on lap number 4.
The Greensburg, Pennsylvania driver, Davey Johnson, has had one of those up and down years. Today, it is up.
And Bart Hartman's a little itchy. He just put a nose right up on the rear quarter panel of Rex Ritchie. He is not in this race right now. He wants that 2nd spot. Davey does not want to be outdone by brother Mike, who had a great run yesterday, and Davey works it back to the stripe.
Bart Hartman now looking on the outside of Rex Ritchie. Can he make it stick on the outside? Rex gets a little bit out of shape. Look at this now. Shaver comes into the picture.
And it's going to be Hartman on the outside, going to 2nd. Shaver and Auckland right behind Rex Ritchie. A very tight 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Good racing in the back of the pack for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, like you just said. Look at this. Here comes Rick Auckland now. Auckland battling out with Steve Shaver. Shaver on the outside. The North Dakota driver down on the inside.
We talked about Billy Moyer and Bart Hartman, how they have been 2 of the hottest late model drivers in the country. You can add Rick Auckland to that list. He is not done by any means today here at Pennsboro.
Well, as all that racing is going on for that 3rd, 4th, and 5th spot, man, I mean, Dave Johnson and Bart Hartman, they have checked out of the motel, and they are on the way as they start to pull about a 3 to 5 second lead over the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th spot.
It'll be 8 laps complete when they come back to the line. Rick Eckert pulls the 24 car into the pit area as they come back. Johnson, the leader. Hartman running in second. Ritchie in third. Side-by-side battle continues between Auckland and Shaver.
You know, as Davy Johnson, I watched that line that he just ran. He's still running the high line of the racetrack. Even though he's out in the lead, has not dropped that car downstairs. Watching.
And we noticed that with Tim Hitt in the first race. He tried the high line. That's where he did all his passing. Then he dropped down low. It wasn't comfortable for him. Then he went back up high again late in the race.
Davy Johnson staying up high, just a little bit out of turns 3 and 4.
Now it looks like Bart Hartman begins to close back down. He didn't get off to the good start. Now he starts to bear down just a little bit more on the driver in car number 48. Shaver is now pulled away a little bit on Auckland. He's trying to get around Rex Ritchie. They're nose to tail in turn 3 and 4.
All that racing going on now. Bart Hartman starts to pick up the pace a little bit now on Davy Johnson. Hartman now pulls about a car and a half length out of turn number 2.
Tucks it in low, drifts up high in the turns, comes off, and he is closing the gap. Only 2-3 car lengths, maybe less, separation between first and second. Johnson and Hartman, it tightens up as they come back for lap number 11.
You'll have to wonder, buddy, what will Hartman do when he gets there? He knows he's in the A main event. Will he try to make the move on Davy Johnson or just play it cool and see what happens?
And another thing that will come into play if we stay green, we got a trio of lap cars that are about a little less than a turn ahead. We saw what it did to Steve Francis. He had to make decisions quickly, and Steve Baker was able to take advantage of it.
Well, they motorbike the stripe to put lap number 12 on the scoring sheet here this afternoon.
Hartman's line continues to be successful for him right now as he bears down on Johnson. And yes, indeed, if the caution doesn't come out, he has got some major decisions. Those 3 lap cars are very tightly bunched together as that duo works off turn number 4.
Buddy, they're coming up on the lap cars of Bobby Burgess and Don Clark and Jim Kudus this time. All the eyes are on in turns 1 and 2.
Johnson fending off Hartman first. Then he's going to check the lap traffic. It's going to be a pair of them running side by side. Clark goes to the inside of Jim Kudus. Johnson follows, and that makes it just a tad bit easier.
Johnson jockeys down on the inside. He puts the 48 car down on the inside and gets around the slower car of Jim Kudus. Now he's got Don Clark to deal with in turns 1 and 2.
As we go just past the halfway mark, 14 in the record books. It'll be 10 to go when they come back to the stripe. Hartman stays glued right to the 48 of Davy Johnson, giving him a car length and a half advantage, with Bobby Burgess and Don Clark still yet to deal with as the leaders come off turn number 4. 10 to go.
I think if I was a driver right now, I'd want to be in Bart Hartman's, because you know the lap cars split out for Davy Johnson. All you have to be is tucked in right on his back bumper. When they do move, if you're there, you'll get right through also.
Johnson gets the break on Don Clark. He plucks him off, coming off at turn number 2. Now Hartman catches him in turn 3. That'll make it harder for Bart this time by and gives Davy just a little bit of breathing room on lap number 16.
Well, all this racing for that first and second spot going on. The battle for third, fourth, and fifth, it's still Rex Ritchie, Steve Shaver, and Rick Auckland now as they start to get around the slower car of Jim Kudus in turns 1 and 2 this time.
Brian Burkhofer just behind him, as well as Keith Berner, a driver that did well in the Hillbilly 100 earlier this year. Johnson clears that final lap car. Hartman still dealing with it as he comes back for the 17th circuit, and the lap traffic played in the favor of Davy Johnson.
Davy getting a lot of breathing room right now. Sets that 48 car down the back chute. Hartman has fallen way off of the pace now, has lost the Johnson car.
Now you talked about earlier, what's the thought of Bart Hartman? Do you think now he knows he's in second? Let's take it a little easy on these lap cars. We know we're in. Let's just play it safe.
Yeah, I think that's what he's going through right now. But I'll tell you what, he looks to be a little bit quicker than Davy because he closes back up. He loses a lot of ground on the lap situation. But you watch Bart start to pick it up lap after lap.
Johnson looks down on the straightaways. Hartman is able to really close in on him in the turns as they come back. It's 19 on the board and 6 laps to go. Shouldn't have to deal with any more lap traffic if we stay green flag racing. That'll be a tremendous help. But let's see if the interval between first and second will shrink in these remaining 5.5 laps here in the second B main. Johnson brings them back for lap number 20.
5 laps to go, buddy. You know, you have to feel for Rex Ritchie. The Chatsworth George driver had a good starting spot on the front of the heat race. Drops back to third. Third is not going to do him any good here this afternoon.
You know, I thought he was going to be in because he really put tremendous pressure on Harold Redmond, but a trio of cautions cooled those tires down, and he couldn't make the final charge. I thought Rex really could have gotten around Redmond late in that race and gotten that transfer spot.
Exactly right yesterday afternoon. And of course, when he got the jump on Bart Hartman on this second qualifier, I thought he was on his way to make this race here this afternoon, but the car has just slowed up just a little bit each and every lap.
But Bard knows his track very well, and here at Finsboro, he begins to close a little on Davy Johnson. They come back for lap 22. Interval has shrunk just a little bit, down to a few car lengths for Davy Johnson. He opens it up a little bit as he heads down the straights, but then Hartman will close right back up and knock a few car lengths down in the corners. 2 to go.
2 to go, coming up with a few laps to go. As Davy Johnson in this qualifying heat race coming out of the 8th spot, buddy. Just check with scoring. Started 8th on the grid.
And the white flag is about to come out for the gentleman that started 8th. He immediately went to the high side and plucked off a few spots and found himself in number 1. Well, am I telling myself, I said lap traffic may not be a factor as we're on the final lap. There are some back markers in front of our leaders. Hardman is not that close, but one little slip in turn 3 and 4. Johnson's going to see if he can try and snare the victory.
Here they come out of 4, buddy. It looks like it's going to be DJ himself. Greensburg, Pennsylvania's Davy Johnson. Bart Hartman will finish up 2nd. He'll go into the A main event in the 75 car. Finishing up 3rd will be Rex Ritchie, Steve Shaver, Rick Auckland, and the Iowa driver, Brian Burkholder, as we finish up our 2nd and final B main event of the afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Starting in the 8th starting spot in this 2nd B main, coming up to pick up the win. How about a nice round of applause out of Greensburg, Pennsylvania, driver the 48, ladies and gentlemen, DJ himself, Davy Johnson.
And the gentleman with the last star's victory of 1997 from Portsmouth, Ohio, winning that race in Portsmouth and coming in to check into the scales, a 75 of Bart Hartman out of Zanesville, Ohio. He'll also qualify for the Dirt Track World Championship this afternoon.
I'll tell you what, Davy Johnson, a good display of passing on the outside. He watched him hit in that first qualifier and did a great job working that car out of the A spot. Didn't take him very much time at all to get to the front of the bus here this afternoon. We're going to go down to Dow Conahan now and talk with the 1st and 2nd place finishers in this 2nd B main.
Bart's waving me off. I think his car's a little hot too. He's revving the motor a lot coming across the scales. I think it may be overheating a bit too. He's definitely still revving it over there. So he went to the pit. We'll get a word with Davy J real quick here. Tell you, it was impressive. It looked impressive from down here, Pete. I don't know how it looked up there, but he went for it on the outside and definitely looked good. Dave, congratulations, buddy. You had your work cut out coming in. I know you had some doubts in your mind, but you went for it on the outside and you made it work.
Yeah, I know I had to move early there before that groove got worn out too bad there at Dow, but, you know, we blew a motor on Friday and then we got 10 laps on this new car, and I sure like it. I wish we could add a little better for qualifying yesterday. We'd have been sitting up front, but that's the way it goes.
What more gear in it today?
Yeah, we got some gear in there today.
What about the racetrack? Like you said, you went for it outside early. Is there still going to be 2 grooves come feature time?
Yeah, right now, I'll tell you what, it's wider than it's been here in years, you know. I feel pretty good. We're starting probably dead last, but I'll be up there.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Davy Johnson, the winner of the 2nd Pro Shocks B main.
Thank you, Dow. As Davy Johnson, very happy. He has had one of those kind of years, buddy, and I'm sure Dow knows it, up and down and around. I've seen him win races one night at Interstate Speedway on a Stars race, and the night before the Stars race, and come back the next night and really struggle. He has had the Hillbilly 100. The car was in and out of the box 2 or 3 different times. He didn't think he was into the race, then he was. It's been one of those years, man. It's like a roller coaster at Kennywood Park. Up to 17 Dirt Track World Championship. As we're going to present the awards to our Quick Pull Award, coming up, sponsored by Dill's Ford out of Parkersburg, West Virginia. Mr. Quick Award. Also, we've got $1,000 in cash. He presents you with $1,000 in cash. Congratulations on setting fast time yesterday.
Thanks. I tell you what, it feels really good to have fast time, and you know, I owe it to the crew guys. I don't even think I showed up at the shop this week. They worked on a race car, and maybe we'll run a little bit better there if I ain't at the shop to screw the thing up.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've had one busy 1997 season. You probably know every rest area from the East Coast to back into Arkansas. What a road warrior you've been this year.
Yeah, I tell you what, we've had a pretty tough road war, and you know, I'd like to thank Monday Trucking. You know, if it wasn't for them and all our sponsors, AFCO Shocks, D&M, GRT Race Cars, and Russell Baker Engine, you know, if it wasn't for all them, this deal wouldn't be possible.
You know, coming up today, this edition of the Dirt Track World Championship, you've been here before, you've made the race before, but you never have sat this close to the front.
I tell you what, you know, I don't know what to think sitting in the front row and not seeing no cars in front of me, but, you know, this thing's going to be a hard, long 100 laps, and, you know, there's a lot of tough guys behind us. We'll just see if we can hang on.
You know, I remember you coming here a few years ago when it was pouring the rain down. You guys were throwing Frisbees, having a good time. You've had a good time once again, but it's going to pay back off of that long drive back to Arkansas, hopefully.
Yeah, I tell you what, I hope we can have a real good time after the end of this 100 laps.
Hey, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Hey, another nice round for Mr. Quick Award for our fast qualifier, ladies and gentlemen. How about a nice round for Wendell Wallace? Making the presentation now, Buzzy Deal. Buzzy, get right in there. For the worship, how about a nice hand for Marshall Green? Dick's Automotive PPG from Parkersburg, West Virginia. Presenting $500 here, Marshall. Here it is, $500 and $50 bills. Congratulations. Very impressive yesterday.
Thank you. You know, we came up here earlier last year, and we didn't get to make but just a few laps. We got involved in a wreck, but I really like the racetrack. We've got a real good car. Our Warrior has built us a super race car. We've got a good custom race engine in this thing. I knew if I could do my part, the car was going to be good. So today's going to be a little different deal. You know, we've never raced here, so starting from the front row, we're pretty excited about that.
Well, I tell you, you raised some eyebrows yesterday. We've heard a lot about you. You've had a pretty good year. You're, like you said, a young driver, but when you went out there yesterday, were you confident that you had a shot at the pole, or ended up with the outside pole, but did you think you were that fast?
Well, we hot lapped. We made 10 laps Friday. We decided that the car was really good and there was no need in wearing our equipment out, and we just loaded it back up, and people thought we were crazy. So, you know, when we went out to hot lap there yesterday, and before we timed in, we were good. And I told them, I said, you know, we've got a good chance of sitting on the pole, but I said, does that sound crazy because we've never been here? So I guess it didn't.
Well, hey, you started on the outside of the front row. Sometimes they say the outside's not the place to be, but I don't know. After those Pro Shock B mains, they look pretty good.
I really like the looks of those B mains because I think the outside was the place to be. But, you know, we raced with Wendell an awful lot on the Have a Tampa series, so, you know, I think that it'll be a good, clean start, and just the man with the best car will win.
Congratulations on the outside pole, $500, and best of luck here this afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Marshall Green.
And get some heat racing underway, and one of the gentlemen that came away with his first heat race victory yesterday afternoon, and it wouldn't be a Dirt Track World Championship without the four-time winner, Freddie Smith of Knoxville, Tennessee. The racing gentleman is back in the field. Freddie, by that ovation, you have always been a very popular man here at the Pennsboro Speedway. Number one, what is it about this track that makes Freddie Smith so successful?
I don't really know. We have always come up here since 1980. Won our first show up here, and really enjoyed it. And we've always been back, you know, and fans been, you know, really great to us. And, you know, we made a lot of fans here, you know, and we're really proud of them.
I tell you, it's been a pretty good season on the Have a Tampa Trail for you. There's some heavy hitters that did not make it in, including the man that finished as the point champion on your series, Billy Moyer. Donnie Moran also did not do well here. That's got to make you feel good when you come to Pennsboro and know that somehow, some way you got in. But yesterday, find yourself with Ronnie Johnson, two of the most successful drivers in the Dirt Track World Championship, having to fight through a heat race to get in, but you're locked in there.
Well, you know, Ronnie's been running with us all year, and yeah, I hate that Moyer and Moran didn't make it, you know, because I know how I'd feel, you know, if I didn't make it. So, you know, I just hate it for him. That's the way the racing is.
What's the key for Freddie Smith here in this 100-lap grind from where you're starting today?
Well, you know, if we just keep our heads cool, you know, we'd be all right. We got 100 laps to go, and, you know, on that first start, it'd be a tussle.
I know it's been a long time since you've seen a great weather weekend like this at Pennsboro, but you got to be up for this one to go for a record number 5. Can you believe you got 4 in the bank, and maybe number 5 could be yours today?
Well, yeah, we kind of lucked in, I think, on a few of them, but,
You know, we've always run good up here and enjoyed it.
All right, Freddie Smith from Knoxville, Tennessee, the winner of the first heat race yesterday afternoon. We're going to get Freddie a plaque over here. He will be going for a record 5th Dirt Track World Championship.
Jack, congratulations, buddy. Good run. Great run yesterday. Congratulations.
Yeah, it sure was. That's a brand new car, and Barry Wright and them really had it hooked together, so I hope we do good today.
You know, brand new team. This team just gelled together the last 30 or 40 days. I know you're excited about it.
Yeah, we sure are. You know, we're just kind of running out this year, see what we're going to do next year, so it looks pretty good right now.
Jack, you've been around Pennsboro a long time, back and forth for the big races. The racetrack pretty much standard the way it always is?
Well, it seems like it is. We've had a lot of bad luck here, looks like, so maybe today will be our day.
Jack, left yesterday after your heat race, I know you were ecstatic for the win. Definitely you were legal about everything. That was nice to see you. You weren't light on the scales and everything. I know that's nice to see that.
Well, I got Barry running the weight, so maybe he has a little better than I do.
I'll tell you, Jack, good luck to you. You're starting pretty well near the front. What's the chances today?
Oh, I hope they're good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the 0-1 of Jack Pennington.
Jack started his racing career at Pittsburgh's Pennsylvania Motor Speedway, and Mike, great job yesterday.
Thanks, Dow. The car felt real good all day. Even in practice, the car felt great. And, you know, we had a good pill draw, and, you know, it helped us get qualified pretty decent. I just hope my luck stays with me today.
Well, the car looked really racy. You had to use all sides of the racetrack, inside and outside, yesterday in your heat because it went nonstop, and you got into some thick traffic. You made some great moves.
Well, the one time I went on the outside, I kind of got a little leery once I got out there, but the car stuck, and we were able to get through it.
Most confidence you've had at Pennsboro here this afternoon. You feel the best going into the race you ever have?
Yeah, I think so. I think the car, like I said, it's felt great all weekend. So we'll see what happens.
Congratulations, best of luck to you.
And thank you, Don.
Mike Johnson out of Imperial driving the 2J.
100 victory just a couple years ago. The GRT chassis number 66, Bill Fry out of Greenbrier, Arkansas. Talking to a lot of people in the pit area, I have heard nothing but praise about Bill Fry. Not so much as a race car driver, but of course that, but also the personality that you have. Willing to just share your knowledge and talk to anybody down the pits, and I think it's paid off. You have had a great 1997 season.
We started off the year real slow, but from mid-season on, we've hit it pretty hard, and I feel real good about next year.
I know you were a past winner of the Hillbilly 100. You know your way around this track. You know your way into victory lane. What's the key for Bill Fry this afternoon?
I think we're going to have to play it safe till late in the race and hope things fold our way.
You must have really given Johnny Burden a lot of tips because he's right back in there as well. He finished third in the heat race that you were in, so you got to be happy that both those cars are in there.
Yeah, I was real proud that we both made the feature, and especially so in the same heat race.
All right, a great season for 97, and Bill Fry is going to be heard from again this afternoon. Congratulations on a great run.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Bill Fry from Greenbrier, Arkansas, the GRT chassis 66, taking the fourth heat race yesterday afternoon.
He drives one of those tough Christiansburg trucking and car, ladies and gentlemen. Nice round of applause, Knoxville, Tennessee, for Skip Martin, ladies and gentlemen. Skip, congratulations. Great run yesterday afternoon. I tell you what, you've been to Pennsboro also, and luck has not fared you too well, but yesterday and Saturday and today, man, great run.
Well, I appreciate it. We had a good car and a good motor here, and that helped us a ton. And usually every time I come here, I fight it, and I have to fight the weather too. And we had a good run. Maybe we can have a decent finish today.
Let's talk about 1997. You've had an excellent year coming off of a big win down at Bulls Gap just a couple weeks ago. Year has been great for the team.
Well, it has. We've got some good people working on the car, and like I said, we got good motors, and GRT chassis has been real good this year, and got good sponsors. And without all that, we couldn't do this. And without the people in the stands, we couldn't do it. And it's been a real good year.
Congratulations.
Thank y'all.
Another nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Skip Knight, Knoxville, Tennessee. Your winner of heat race number 5 for the Avs.
Starting in the 8th spot this afternoon for the 17th running of the Dirt Track World Championship, the driver of the Andrews Auto Salvage Trackside Magazine, number 42 from Eldred, Pennsylvania, Todd Andrews. Great job yesterday, Todd. It's been a good year for you. We sound like a broken record because all of you guys down here, of course, have had great years, but it really has. This been your best year?
It's been a real consistent year. I mean, we've probably won a dozen races, but, like even this month, I think the worst we've finished is 4th, and it's just been a real consistent year for us.
Looked like the car was really working good yesterday. Man, you were getting a hold of the racetrack. You had that left front coming off the ground. Did it feel as good as it looked?
Yeah, I believe the track actually picked up a little bit when the sun went down, and the car got a little bit too tight, really. It was not real comfortable to drive like that, but I was actually real fortunate, you know, with 2 laps to go. The rear end cover actually blew off on that restart, and I ran the last 2 laps without the rear end cover, and the gears stayed in, luckily.
Well, that's an amazing feat in itself, isn't it? I mean, you probably weren't, obviously you weren't aware of the situation, or were you aware of it at the time? You couldn't notice any difference in the car, could you?
No, I didn't have a clue, and when we got out of the car over the truck, you know, there was oil all over the back of it, and they told me I was smoked a little bit the last 2 laps there, and that's what it was from.
Well, you know, maybe that's a sign of things to come. Maybe luck's on your side this weekend.
I just hope I didn't use it all up yesterday.
Best of luck this afternoon.
Thank you.
Todd Andrews.
Give that famous command, all right? We're all going to do it. We're going to count down from 3, and when we get to 0, gentlemen, start your engines. Get ready. Here we go. In 3, in 2, in 1. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Never gonna feel it. As we mentioned, 28 cars about to take the green flag in one of the biggest races in motorsports history for the Dirt Late Models, the 17th edition of the Dirt Track World Championship. And now, a very interesting story developing already for one of our heavy hitters in Bill Fry.
Yes, so you probably noticed Bill Fry was not on the speedway for driver introductions. He has come out now in car 66. He lost fuel pressure, lost a fuel pump. They had to change the fuel pump, but they got it done. And he was going to do anything he could to get that car out here to make the start.
Bill Fry knows his way around this Pennsboro Oval, a past winner of the Hillbilly 100 here at the legendary Pennsboro Speedway. There you see the Cochran Automotive number 1C of Lynn Geisler, just hoping there's a chance that one driver may not be able to crank up and go. He is the first alternate today in the Dirt Track World Championship. Let's take a look at that starting lineup this afternoon in the 17th edition of this Dirt Track World Championship event. Back on the pole position by virtue of his fast qualifying time of 20.175, again from Batesville, Arkansas, the Mundy Trucking GRT chassis machine of Wendell Wallace. Outside of row number 1 from Dalton, Georgia, driving car number 89, this will be Marshall Green.
Second row on the inside will be Freddie Smith of Knoxville, Tennessee, of course, and the Chris and Berry Farms and Trucking 00S alongside of him in the 01 out of the Augusta, Georgia area, Jack Pennington.
Great run this weekend from Mike Johnson of Imperial, Pennsylvania. He lines up on the inside of row number 3 in that popular 2J. And as we mentioned, some quick changes, last-minute changes for Bill Fry out of Greenbrier, Arkansas. Car 66 to the outside of that second, third row.
2 more heat race winners starting inside the next row. We'll have the 31 of Skip Harp out of Georgetown, Tennessee, and Duke Center, Pennsylvania's Todd Andrews in car 42.
It wouldn't be Pennsboro without a Conley in the field. This time the 71C of R.J. Conley out of Wheelersburg, Ohio, and Jackie Boggs from Grayson, Kentucky in car number 4B.
And a guy not down the road very far from Pennsboro, Mike Balzano from Parkersburg, West Virginia, in the E1, and the caveman Mike Duvall alongside of him in the F1.
Making a long overdue return back to Pennsboro from Tyrone, Georgia, the 66 of Wade Knowles, and in the freshman class for 97 from Kings Mountain, North Carolina, the number 70 of Jeff Smith.
How about this next row? 2-time winner of this race from Chattanooga, Tennessee in the 5, Ronnie Johnson. Outside of him from Mooresburg, Tennessee, Scott Blomquist in the 0.
Taking you back to the next row, that's where you'll find C.S. Fitzgerald, the Lexington, Virginia driver in car number 100, and another member of the freshman class from Russellville, Arkansas, the 1V of Johnny Verdon.
Mr. Smooth, Gary Stuhler, with almost 20 wins this year, will start next to the 19 outside from Tyler Mountain, West Virginia, the 28 of Harold Redmond.
Now we we get back into the Consi drivers, earlier today, Steve Baker hailing from Fairmont, West Virginia, in car number 84, and the 48 of Davy Johnson out of Greensburg, Pennsylvania, line up in that row.
Stars champion Steve Francis is next in the 15, flanked by the Bartman, Bart Hartman out of Zanesville, Ohio, the 75.
Next row comprised of the highest drivers in time trials that did not make it through the heat races. The B4 of Jack Boggs out of Grayson, Kentucky, and fellow Kentuckian Paul Harris out of Martin, Kentucky, in car number 10.
And the final row, the 2 Stars provisionals from Weston, West Virginia, in car 68, Tim Hintz, and York, Pennsylvania's Rick Eckert in the Ray Vest Excavating 24.
We'll give them about 3 more laps to go before we unleash these high-powered late model drivers for the biggest race, the Dirt Track World Championship. Dow, time to pick a favorite. Can we do it?
Well, I think you got to look at that front row. Wendell Wallace and the guy behind him, Freddie Smith. I mean, he hasn't started this close to the front for a while here. He's the only guy that's won it 4 times. Hasn't been a great year for Freddie, but this would, like I said, make up for a lot of disappointment.
If you had to have a dark horse, I think it would have to be Mike Johnson. He is just riding a Cinderella story type weekend, but I don't think it's a fluke. That driver has really been focused here this weekend.
Also, I think you look outside the front row. A young man who only ran 10 laps of practice on Friday said the car felt that good. Didn't want to run it a lot yesterday, but he set the second fast time, Marshall Green. All right, folks, we're going to get him up 4 wide the next time, or let's get him bring around and send him off here. Get on your feet and say hello to the Short Track Auto Racing Stars, the 17th Dirt Track World Championship.
Well, the second greatest feeling. Number 1, when you fire the engines up, and number 2, when you see some of the best dirt late model talent in the country roar by and they stick their hand out the window to wave to the fans that make the sport all possible.
We can't do without both hands. We've got a great, great crowd. We appreciate the great turnout of people and a great, great field of cars. All the talk, all the anticipation is here. We're ready to go.
All right, the field takes a 1 to go indication as they work down into turn number 1 and 2. Pace truck will head down the back straightaway. He'll take the turn off into the pit area next time by as we get set to go for the 100-lap, $50,000 to win payday. The gentleman that has won 4 races in his illustrious career, Freddie Smith. No matter what type of season he has, when he comes back to Pennsboro, he is a tough driver to beat. His son, Jeff Smith, lining up farther back in the field. Wendell Wallace and Marshall Green, a pair of Have a Tampa Series regulars. Get ready. Pace truck in the infield. 100 laps, $50,000.
Off the 4th turn, Marshall Green doesn't go in car 89. No green. Marshall Green did not go in car 89. Fortunately, looks like everyone separated. There was no contact. It did not appear there was any contact.
Looked like Wendell broke a little bit earlier. You see that chalk line down in turn number 4, just at the exit, and those drivers were chomping at the bit to go, and they left way early, so we'll bring the caution out and realign the field. That would be a tough break for the Greenbrier, Arkansas driver, a winner of one of the heat races, and looks like he's got a little damage on that left rear quarter panel as he comes around. He may have been one of the few drivers that might have got jammed up down there in turn 3 and 4, and he'll come down to an official here at the entrance of turn 1 and get checked out. Not rubbing the tire. Looks like everything's okay. Fry will take his place back in the original starting lineup. Winner of the Hillbilly 100 a few years ago. With some possible front-end damage. 2 drivers to watch out for as we get set to go to green. During the day, if anything happens to any of our drivers, we'll try to get Pete Seeger to catch up with any of our drivers that may incur some troubles during the afternoon and try to keep all of our fans right up to snuff on everything that's happening in the whole 100 laps.
We're ready for our second attempt at beginning the 17th Dirt Track World Championship. Wendell Wallace, Marshall Green into the 4th turn, looking good this time. Yes, there is a green flag.
Brings them right down to the line, and Marshall Green gets the outside advantage. He goes into turn 1 and 2. Wallace drops to 2nd. Smith in 3rd. Pennington, Bill Fry, and they all get jammed up.
Yeah, Pennington and Fry really rubbing fenders. And look at that, 3 wide battle off of 2. On the outside goes Todd Andrews in car 42.
Evidently nothing wrong with the Duke Center, Pennsylvania driver. He challenges back there in the number 6 spot as they come back for the lap 1. It's Marshall Green, the leader of the Dirt Track World Championship.
Right behind them, Wendell Wallace and Freddie Smith. Pennington 4th. It is Fry 5th, Todd Andrews 6th, Arm 7th, Mike Johnson 8th, Jackie Boggs 9th, and R.J. Conley is 10th.
Front 3 drivers begin to quickly break array. Green, Wallace, and Smith. Pennington leads that charge from there on back. Good side-by-side racing farther back in the field.
And if you look, Davey Johnson, Bart Hartman, Gary Stuhler, they're going to the top side. They're trying to get from the back of the pack up into contention early on.
Right back there, it's 3 wide. Hartman, Stuhler, and C.S. Fitzgerald. What a move by Hartman.
We've got a spin down in turn number 3. It's Harold Redmond in car 28. Harold Redmond in car 28. Parked there, right there at the pit entrance inside the 3rd and 4th turn to bring out our first caution with just 2 laps down.
Second caution brought out by Harold Redmond. He finished 3rd in the final heat race yesterday afternoon. The driver from Charleston, West Virginia, looks like minimal damage, and he's backing it off under his own power. Battle between C.S. Fitzgerald, Gary Stuhler, and Bart Hartman at the tail end of the field as they came off turn number 4, and right after that the caution came out for the number 28 of Harold Redmond.
Looks like we're getting close to going back to green. Everyone appears to be in the proper spot. Yes, we'll go green the next time around.
Redmond's car is in the pits. They've jacked the front up, and they are up underneath of it. Looks like something very terminal possibly, and that's a tough break for the Charleston, West Virginia driver.
I mean, it's single file restart, and we're back up to speed.
Marshall Green takes him down into turn number 3 and 4. The start is at the entrance of turn 3 at the cone. Green brings them back as they start lap number 3.
Into 1, it's still Green, Wallace, Smith, Pennington, and Fry. Let's watch backways, middle of the pack, see if anyone tries that outside. Looks like Todd Andrews may make a pass off at turn 2.
Andrews ducks underneath Bill Fry down the back straightaway. That'll be for the 5th spot, but Fry holds on as they take him down into turn 3 and 4. Skip Arp not far off the rear spoilers.
No, but Fry slips high again in turn 4, and here comes Todd Andrews once again underneath Bill Fry, but Fry has got the straightaway speed to keep him away one more time.
Just enough fight to keep that car in front of Andrews as they work, but his car is not working through the turns as well as Andrews is, and that is the battle that continues on the speedway.
It's still Green, Wallace, and Smith into turn 3. Freddie Smith right there on Wallace going into 3, but slipped a little high in the middle of the corner.
And that'll cost you 2, 3, 4 car lengths and take him about a lap or so to catch back up. Jack Pennington holding on to 4th, Fry in 5th. Todd Andrews right now in the number 6 spot. Skip Arp back in 7th. Mike Johnson, and it looks like right behind him, the 4B of Jackie Boggs makes up the top 10.
Bill Fry still able to keep Todd Andrews, and Skip Arp right behind him as he runs in that 5th spot. It's Green and Wendell Wallace now, just a couple of car lengths back in 2nd.
Down one driver that looks like he also is moving up through the field. He runs 11th. He started in 16th. That is Scott Bloomquist. He's already moved up 5 spots this afternoon.
Well, there are some guys making some moves early on as your front 3 start to break away from the field. Jack Pennington by himself in 4th.
6 quick laps in the record books here at the Dirt Track World Championship. It stays tight between the front 2. Marshall Green and Wendell Wallace with Freddie Smith in tow.
You're right, Wendell Wallace is starting to close back in on Marshall Green, especially in the corners. Let's see what happens here as we get ready to complete lap number 7.
They put a little distance between themselves and Freddie Smith. Pennington trying to play catch-up. Bill Fry, Todd Andrews, Skip Arp, and company. Here they come, challenge for the lead.
Yes, Wendell Wallace on the inside off the 4th turn, but Marshall Green leads him into turn 1.
It's not going to be long now. It looks like Wendell Wallace is ready to go and put that Monday Trucking GRT car back in front.
Green's car may have a little push in it in 3 and 4. It looked like it wants to skate up the racetrack. Let's see if he can keep it down in the groove this time. Yes, he will lead. Wendell Wallace off the 4th turn.
Less than a car length separation between 1st and 2nd. Freddie Smith, Jack Pennington, they've broken away. Bill Fry fending off Todd Andrews.
Track looks to be really fast. We get the stopwatch on these guys, see what kind of lap times they're turning as Wallace again closes on Green on the back straightaway.
All right, Dow's going to put the clock on him this time around as we get set to put lap number 9 on the board, and we are almost a 10th of the way through the Dirt Track World Championship. 9 on the board. We got the boys on the clock right now. We're going to check out and see what they're going to be doing here momentarily. Freddie Smith now also beginning to close back up in 3rd spot. Wallace still right there on Marshall Green.
You're right. It looks like we're going to have a 3-car battle here very shortly. Marshall Green may have slowed just a bit because Wallace has been behind him and Smith is closing in too.
10 laps in the record books here at Pennsboro. Jack Pennington remains a distant 4th. Bill Fry, Todd Andrews, Mike Johnson, as well as Skip Arp. Scott Bloomquist got around Jackie Boggs. He's in the top 10 now.
Yeah, right. Bloomquist picks up another spot. Andrews really pressuring Bill Fry still for 5th. He's been all over him, but Fry still running in the top 5.
Those front 3 are they going to be swallowed up by Jack Pennington? Looks like he might be closing in on them as well. And Green is not setting the pace. Looks like he may be holding a couple drivers up because Pennington is also closing back in the number 4 4th spot. Fry remains in 5th. Todd Andrews, Skip Arp, and Mike Johnson. But watch out for Scott Bloomquist. He continues and now begins to challenge back for the number 9 spot.
Bloomquist quickly closing in on Mike Johnson. Scott looks real quick here early on.
Well, he mentioned he started every position possible here at Pennsboro, but the outcome has always been the same. Maybe this is a Scott Bloomquist day.
Jeff Smith picks up a spot in car 70, getting by the F1 of Mike Duvall. Big lead for those front 3, and Jack Pennington still all by himself in 4th, and it's back almost a full straightaway to 5th.
3 drivers very familiar with one another lead this field here on lap number 13 in the Dirt Track World Championship. They take their battle back into turn 1 and 2.
Off of 2, it's still Marshall Green, Wendell Wallace, and Freddie Smith. Wallace was able to pull alongside of Green about 5 laps earlier in the 4th turn, but Marshall's been a little better since then, although Carr still wants to push coming off of 4. Here comes Wallace making another run.
Wendell very patient, knows that opening could be coming as he works back into 1 and 2. He thinks it could be, and I think the door is about to be open very soon for Wallace.
Your leaders are only about a half a straightaway behind the back of the field, so if the race stays green, lap traffic's going to play a role here shortly.
Jack Pennington had closed just a little bit on those front 3 drivers. Bill Fry remains back in 5th. Andrews in 6th. It's still Arp in 7th. Mike Johnson 8th. Scott Bloomquist 9th. And Jackie Boggs in 10th.
15 laps are down, and Jack Pennington in the 01 car, the 4th place car, is closing in on that front 3. Marshall Green, Wendell Wallace, and Freddie Smith.
As they take their battle back down to the turn number 3 and 4. They are about a half straightaway away from hitting the back markers in the field.
Track looks like it's really starting to take some bite. The car's lifting that left front wheel. We've got a car slowing on the back straightaway. Mike Balzano in car E1 is slowed on the back stretch. Caution is out for the E1 of Mike Balzano.
Tough break for the driver starting back in the 11th position this afternoon. A one-time winner in the Star Series for 97 in the Beckley USA 100. Now to bring out a 3rd caution today here on lap number 16.
16 laps complete. Mike Balzano, the Floodwall Flyer in the ER Corbin E1 is coming into the pits.
Andrews, but since has steadied and held that number 5 spot pretty consistently. Todd Andrews remains in 6th, Skip Arp in 7th, Mike Johnson. Well, now we saw that with Bart Hartman. They brought that to our attention after the second B main. Bart finished 2nd, did not have words because he wanted to get back to the trailer because of overheating problems.
He's standing by in the pit area. Pete? Well, down Mike Balzano having overheating problems in the E1 car. They poured a lot of water on the car, but the temperature just keeps on climbing. So they're going to see maybe they've got a belt off or something. They're Graham Racing engines. We're surprised the power to Balzano is at the side, but the temperature is not coming down on the E1 car, so they're going to see if they're going to send him back out or make the decision here in just a couple of minutes.
Stoller is in the pits. Field gets set off turn 4. 16 in the record books. Marshall Green takes us back to green flag racing.
Now, once again, like you said earlier, Buddy's able to get a good restart, open up about a 5-car length lead on Wendell Wallace as they race off that second turn.
Freddie Smith made a challenge. He looked underneath of Wendell Wallace on that restart. He's still looking as he go back into turn number 3 and 4, and we have yet another driver coming back down on pit road.
Yeah, it's Harold Redmond back in the pits, joining Gary Stuhler. So we lose 2 cars right now. Marshall Green, a pretty good lead. Freddie Smith putting the pressure on Wendell Wallace for second.
Now a footnote on Stuhler. Under the hood they go. Could be another overheating problem for the number 19 team.
Remember, they were working under the hood of that car when during driver introductions they had the hood up and they're working there. So something may not have been right here, and he probably knew he had a problem before the race maybe even started.
So Marshall Green continues to lead. He gets off to good starts, but then once Wendell Wallace and Freddie Smith come around 3, 4, 5 laps, they come right back on the rear spoiler of car number 89, and Balzano now pulls it behind the trailer as well.
3 cars out of the Dirt Track World Championship right now. Freddie Smith again right on Wendell Wallace into turn number 3. Smith looking strong here early going as he tries to win his 5th Dirt Track World Championship.
Well, that takes away from what Wendell's game plan wants to be. He can't attack Marshall. He's too busy worrying about Freddie Smith right now, and Pennington holds on to 4th. Fry still with the pressure from Todd Andrews right behind him.
Yes, the top 5 stay the same, and pretty much the same things happen as it was before the caution. Front 3 have a little daylight. Pennington's by himself in 4th, and it's back away, so the 5th place car, Bill Fry.
As the field comes back, we'll put 20 laps on the board here this afternoon. Behind Bill Fry, Todd Andrews remains in 6th. It'll be Skip Arp 7th, Mike Johnson 8th, Scott Bloomquist at 9th, and Jackie Boggs the top 10. Back in the 11th spot, Jeff Smith, one of the rookie drivers. He holds air, and we got a battle up front.
Yes, Freddie Smith that time down the back straightaway looked like he was going to try the inside of Wendell Wallace. Just couldn't get far enough alongside, but Smith's car seems to be working quite well.
Put a blanket under those front three and take them back to turn one. Jack Pennington looking to make it a group of 4 drivers coming off that second turn as he works down the back chute.
Cloud cover over the speedway now. Be interesting to see if the track changes at all.
Yeah, one end of the speedway very shady. The other end is sunny as one driver, that's Harold Redmond, comes back onto the racetrack. We'll put lap 22 on the board, and that trio heads back into 1 and 2.
Scott Bloomquist, who moved into the top 10 in the first part, was right behind Mike Johnson. Still is, and they're side by side for second.
Crowd is on their feet at Pennsboro. The 4-time winner of the Dirt Track World Championship, Freddie Smith, goes to second. What will he have for Marshall Green?
We'll see if he can close in on the young man out of Georgia. Marshall Green has led from the start in car 89.
Well, when you got one of the best in the business behind you, you then, will you change your driving style? What's going to happen to Marshall Green? Will he get a little shaky? We'll see.
Well, right away, Smith is closed in on Greens. Freddie Smith is on the charge here in the first quarter of this Dirt Track World Championship.
Once he got around Wendell Wallace, it took no time to come right to Marshall Green as they come back for lap number 24. Freddie Smith immediately will go to work on that yellow number 89.
Jack Pennington still by himself in 4th. Fry is 5th. Andrews 6th. Arp 7th. Johnson 8th. Bloomquist running 9th. And Jackie Boggs is 10th.
As they come off of turn number 4. The 11th spot to Jeff Smith. 12th going to Mike Duvall. 13th to R.J. Conley. And 14th, give it to Bart Hardman. He's one of the drivers flying up through the field.
Yeah, Hardman has come a real long way. The Bart man started way back in about position number 26 here this afternoon. So he has definitely picked up some spots in the Hartman Truck Center number 75.
And right in front of him, RJ is raising those wheels. We haven't seen too many drivers do it so far today. RJ is one of the first of them to start raising them coming off of turn 4.
I think the track is getting tight. That's why I think why the cars were, some of the cars weren't expecting and some of the crews maybe to be this tight this early, and that's why we see them picking that left side up as Smith continues to hound Green.
He continues to close in turn 3 and 4. Takes the peak underneath. Let's see what happens. He'll fall back in line. Wendell Wallace, Jack Pennington, Bill Fry, your top 5.
Well, if Marshall Green is to hang on and win this Dirt Track World Championship, he is going to have to earn it because he has got one of the best ever here at Pennsboro. Freddie Smith applying the pressure.
Well, Dal, you got to look at that scoreboard. 27 laps down, and you got the 4-time winner. It's a long race.
As I'm saying, he's going to have to really earn it if he's going to keep Mr. Smith at bay. And Wendell Wallace is sitting there in the catbird seat in 3rd in the number 6.
Todd Andrews remains back in that number 6 spot, breaking away a little bit from Skip Arp. Mike Johnson remains in the 8th position. Bloomquist in 9th and Boggs in 10th.
Really no change. Caution is back out. Steve Baker in car 84 has spun on the inside of turn 3 and 4, the same exact spot where we saw Harold Redmond sitting earlier in the race. Steve Baker in the Fuel Lucon Rev Fab number 84. That is where he is pitted, and he is in the pits after spinning. Pete Secret telling us from the pit area, buddy, that it appears that C.S. Fitzgerald may be overheating soon. Now looks like they're going to jack up the car, maybe make a tire change on the 100. That's out of the pits in car number 84.
PS in the number 100 started back in the number 17 position. They make the quick change, and he'll head back out on pit road.
So Baker's back out, Fitzgerald's back out. 3 cars are out of the race. Mike Balzano, Gary Stuhler, and Harold Redmond.
As the field comes off of turn number 4, let's see what Marshall Green can do on the restart. 28 circuits in the record books here at Pennsboro.
And a correction on that, Redmond is not out. He has rejoined the race in car 28, and we've got 28 laps down, and Marshall Green, again, tries to hold off the charges of Freddie Smith.
He's been good on restarts, but Freddie stuck right with him on this one. He is right there in turn number 3 and 4.
The way Smith's running, buddy, it looks like if he's able to get by Green, he may pull away.
I think that's what you're going to see. You've seen some very tight racing up front, but I do believe you're right. If Freddie does get in the number 1 spot, he may just walk the dog this afternoon in the early stages.
Down the back straightaway, Marshall Green, 1 car length over Freddie Smith. Wallace 3rd, Pennington 4th. Fry now closer to Pennington than he's been in that 5th spot.
And Bart Hardman just got around R.J. Conley, moves the car into the number 12 spot.
Bart Hardman has really moved. He started way back there in position by number 23, 24, and now close to the top 10.
Field down the back straightaway. Car length separation on the straightaways. It closes right up in the turns between Marshall Green and Freddie Smith. Wallace looking on back in 3rd.
Single foul off the 4th turn down the front straightaway. That outside groove that we saw earlier this afternoon on the outside of turn 4, just not there right now.
As as the field works and knifes their way down in turn number 1 and 2. It's Green, Smith, followed by Wallace, Pennington, and the top 5 made up by Bill Fry.
I tell you, Freddie Smith is really coming strong off the second turn down the back straightaway. He is into turn number 3, chomping at the bit to try to get under Green into turn number 3. But it's still Marshall Green in turn 1 in front with Smith glued to his back bumper as they race off at 2. Wallace right there in third. Fourth is Pennington. Fry 5th. Andrews is 6th. Arp 7th. Mike Johnson 8th. Scott Bloomquist 9th. And Jackie Boggs is still running in the 10th spot. 33 laps are down. 33 laps are down in the 17th running of the Dirt Track World Championship. Marshall Green able to open up another car length on Smith, that time in turn number 3.
All right, field going back into 3 and 4 with 34 circuits about to go on the board. Only 16 shy of the halfway point in a very fast-paced Dirt Track World Championship.
Scott Bloomquist that time almost had Mike Johnson off the ground down the front straightaway. The 0 right underneath the 2J as he's getting a little aggressive, running in that 9th spot, looking for more.
Everybody pretty much settling down in their positions right now. The only one that seems to be on the move is Bart Hartman, again looking to the inside of Mike Duvall, 411.
Here he comes. The Bart man has got another spot. Yes, the Hartman truck's enter 75. Just 1 car, 2 cars out of the top 10.
Incredible run for Bart Hartman. He had a great run in the Hillbilly 100 at Pennsboro. He has been the hottest late model driver of late in the country, winning so many big buck events here at the tail end of the season.
You're right. He has been so hot the last 3 or 4 weeks. Didn't qualify that well yesterday. Had to run the B main this afternoon, but is coming forward here when it counts in the 100 lap A main.
All right, Marshall Green still leads us off turn 2. Freddie Smith just a couple car lengths back in second. I've really been impressed with Marshall on this latest series of green flag racing. He is not intimidated by Smith at all.
Now the car looks pretty good right now as he comes off the 4th turn. He is glued on a rail down that front straightaway.
37 laps in the record books, 13 shy of the halfway point. Green, Smith, and Wallace, they're your top 3. Pennington remains in 4th, and Bill Fry 5th.
Todd Andrews 6th, Skip Arp 7th, Mike Johnson 8th, Scott Bloomquist 9th, and Jackie Boggs still holds on to the 10th spot.
Jeff Smith holding on to 11th. We mentioned Bart Hartman. He's got a great run. Back in 12th, slips a little there, but gathers it back in. 13th to Mike Duvall, 14th, R.J. Conley, Ronnie Johnson, 15th.
Davey Johnson is 16th, Johnny Hurd is 17th, Wade Knowles 18th, Steve Francis 19th, and running 20th right now is the 10 of Paul Harris.
Rounding out the field, Jack Boggs right there in the number 21 spot. 22nd to Rick Eckert. He has made no strides to the front. 23rd to Tim Hitt. And 24th goes to Harold Redmond. Steve Baker and C.S. Fitzgerald 25th and 26th.
Right now your leaders are about a straightaway behind the back of the field. Your leaders are about a straight behind the back of the field. They'll be completing lap 40 this time by 60 more laps to go.
You know, Dow, with the cautions we've had, we haven't had the flurry of lap traffic problems yet, but you know it's eventually going to happen.
And that's when Marshall Green is really going to have to be careful to make the right moves, because the thing about it, buddy, the back of the field, the difference in speed is not that much from the guys leading. I mean, there's only a 10th or 2 difference separating this whole field.
You know, we talked about Bart Hartman in the movies made as a caution maybe coming out possibly for C.S. Fitzgerald, but Bart was a driver that had some overheating troubles. It doesn't seem to be bothering him.
C.S. was too fast to go into the pit, so yes, we have a caution. C.S. Fitzgerald, I assume he was going to try and come into the pits, but he just couldn't get the car slowed down in time. And now we'll back the Fitzgerald Lumber number 100 into the pit area, the Lexington, Virginia driver.
Well, a couple of good stories developing. Marshall Green, everybody wondered once Freddie Smith got to second how the Dalton, Georgia driver would handle it. So far, he has done an admirable job here at lap number 41. Freddie Rivers coming back out of the pits in the 84. So the attrition starts to mount a little bit for some of the drivers here in the 17th edition of the Dirt Track World Championship. Great job by Marshall Green, Freddie Smith, Wendell Wallace, Jack Pennington, and Bill Fry.
41 laps down as the green is back out. We're getting close to the halfway point.
Green brings them back to green flag racing here this afternoon at lap number 41. Takes it down to the turn number 1 and 2. Freddie Smith right there behind him. Wallace a car length back. Pennington, Fry, Todd Andrews at top 6.
As we get into the second half of the race, buddy, I think that's when we'll see the tire wear come into play. Who picked what tire? Who's going to have the rubber left?
Now the driver back in. It's again the 100 of C.S. Fitzgerald as Freddie now begins to make a serious challenge on the front stretch.
Yes, he hit real serious side by side into 1 and 2. Freddie Smith, Marshall Green in turn 2. The battle continues down the back straightaway.
A pair of Abbott Tampa regulars square off for lap number 42 here in the Dirt Track World Championship. The 4-time winner Dow is back in front.
He was in front, and Marshall Green is back in front in turn 4. What racing action.
And that's all it takes, a little slip in the corner up high, and Marshall Green is back in front. He's not intimidated. He's ready to go racing with Freddie Smith.
Did not rattle at all when Smith got by. Freddie obviously went into turn 3 a little too hard, but was able to come back down still in that second spot.
Now he's probably got the biggest lead he has ever had today, and that says a whole lot when you look at the gap between first and second.
Jack Pennington has pulled out to the top of the racetrack, your fourth-place car. Jack Pennington out of Augusta, Georgia in the 0-1 off the pace here on the front stretch. Caution on the speedway.
Top break for the Augusta, Georgia driver, starting back in the number 4 spot with a great qualifying effort earlier this afternoon or this weekend, 20.473, and Jack Pennington looks to possibly be the latest casualty.
That very right chassis had looked to be working pretty good. He was just sitting there biding time, running in that 4th spot, really wasn't feeling any pressure from behind, was able to stay in striking distance of the leaders, so we'll see what the problem is, as he'll probably be bringing that car into the pits.
Yeah, Jack has been one of the few drivers that really hasn't had anybody around him. He's watched those front 3 drivers in front. Todd Andrews and Bill Fry have been right behind him, but not too close, and Pennington has been able to run by his lonesome pretty much. Wallace stays there in 3rd, Bill Fry in 4th. Todd Andrews now cracks the top 5 for the first time today.
Yes, he's in the 5th spot, and he looked to be real racy. Looks to be real racy behind Bill Fry, but has not been able to get by him. Skip Arp's been quietly running in the top 10 all afternoon. Jackie Boggs has dropped back a few spots, but still very much in the thick of it. Anyone right now still very much alive out there, because you never know what can happen. We've got a long way to go, 56 laps to go. Scott Bloomquist will be falling in their line as well, and we talked about his charge early on. He's pretty much been saying the same spot, hasn't made much progress in the last couple of green flag sessions, but he's in. So Bloomquist running in only the 7th spot after starting 16th.
And the 2 drivers to watch out for. You mentioned Bloomquist, just a couple spots back, Bart Hardman. They have been the 2 drivers tearing through. And by virtue of one of the misfortunes of Johnny Verdon, or one of the drivers just up, or I should say Jack Pennington, it's one of the few spots that Bart has gained by attrition, more so than anything else. Major tangle on the back straightaway.
Yeah, Ronnie Johnson got sideways in the 5 car right at the cone, collects the 66 of Wade Knowles and the 15 of Steve Francis. 3 cars together on the back straightaway. 5 Ronnie Johnson, 66 Wade Knowles, and the 15 of Steve Francis.
Boy, I tell you, they were just about to get up to speed right where the cone is at, and that was 2 vicious hits by 3 cars taken down at the entrance of turn number 3. And there's got to be some heavy damage on all 3 of those machines. We may have just lost 3 cars. We'll see as we head over on the back straightaway and trying to get a report in a few moments.
Bloomquist, Jackie Boggs, next in line.
Ronnie Johnson and Wade Knowles, 2 of the drivers involved, had to qualify and gain their qualifying positions through the heat races yesterday. And it's been a busy day for Steve Francis, but not a good one. The defending Stars champion and soon-to-be Stars champion of 1997 had to be qualifying into one of the 2 B-mains earlier this afternoon, so he was one
to work Mike Duvall and his quarter panel. More and more of the quarter panels are getting dinged and dented and pushed and pulled as this afternoon wears on, which is typical.
Johnson, Steve, what happened? Best you can say. Typical Pennsville one-lane deal. Everybody just starts stacking up, and there wasn't no place to go. You okay? Yeah, car's done. Steve Francis, his car, a lot of front-end damage to that car. Ronnie Johnson's car, looks like a lot of rear-end damage on that car. Sheet metal damage, he'll have to be towed off. Also, Wayne Knowles' car, a lot of right-side damage to that car. It looks like all 3 cars possibly may be done for the day, but Ronnie Johnson, he's going to try to strap back up in his car. I don't think it's as bad as he seems, but yeah, Ronnie is going to try to get his car going, but Steve Francis is already on the hook. Wayne knows he's getting ready to go on the hook too. Ronnie Johnson's car has fired up. Start here with Wayne Knowles here in just a second. Wayne, you all right? Yeah, I'm all right. I'm still up a little bit, but I think I'm all right. Going to try to get back in.
Got his car out of the mud. He is going to be bringing the 5 machine around, may make a quick pit stop just to see if any metals rubbing on tires or things like that, but hopefully we'll be able to resume racing here today.
Boy, Steve Francis, you can hear the dejection and the frustration in that voice. He was very unhappy.
I sensed that even after the Pro Shocks B main when I had a chance to talk to him after he finished second. He just, whatever the case be, and he talked to Pete about this during drive introductions, has not had any luck here at Pennsboro. It's almost like he's waiting for something to go wrong, and there it went. Look at that nose. I mean, the bar is keeping the car in front of him off the motor, but it's shoved back there pretty good. Definitely done for this afternoon.
Up.
No, fans need it on the right side of the race car. The actual frame is not right out against the body. It's still 3 feet in, so a lot of times they get the body bent up on the right side, but the car itself, the inner workings of the car, the chassis and the suspension is okay, but Knowles will bring the car into the pit at least for a quick look by the crew.
And we saw that obvious with Jack Pennington yesterday in his battle with Jack Boggs in the heat race. He had a lot of similar body damage, but it didn't affect the handling capabilities of the car.
It looks like Wade may be parking the number 66, and we're ready to go back to green. Done for the afternoon. Thanks to Pete Secret for the report as the green is back out. Green for green.
Green for green is right. Marshall Green hopes he has plenty of green in his face later on this afternoon in the form of $50,000 as he leads him back down into turn 1 and 2.
It's been a long time since these cars went up to speed. That car should probably lasting 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes, but Marshall Green picks up where we left off, running away.
Smith just a couple car lengths back in second. Wendell Wallace remains third, Fry in fourth, and of course Todd Andrews now getting into the top 5.
Right behind him, still Skip Arp, Scott Bloomquist, Jackie Boggs, Jeff Smith, and Bart Hartman. Those are your top 10.
Bart Hartman, 9 to knock on the door and get in the top 10 as well. Behind him is Mike Johnson, followed by Mike Duvall. Slip up by R.J. Conley, and it looks like Davey Johnson, one of our Consi winners, will slide underneath and take the spot.
Yeah, Johnson is now up to 13th, so he's come a long way as well here this afternoon after winning with Pro Shocks B main number 2.
He's not far from his brother. Mike is only a couple of positions up ahead, so we'll see what happens if the Johnson brothers get together here in the latter stages of the event.
Marshall Green by about 4 car lengths over Freddie Smith. It seems like Wendell Wallace, it takes his car the longest to respond after the green comes back out to get enough heat in those tires.
Yeah, Wendell's dropped back quite a bit now. He gains back on Freddie Smith, who didn't run a very good line in turn number 3 and 4. But you are right. Wendell, it does take his car a long time to get back and adjust it to the speedway.
Well, he might have a harder tire on, hoping that his car will be the better later in the race if we get a long green flag stretch.
Again, you're looking at about the biggest lead that Marshall Green has had this afternoon. About 3-4 car lengths. That's about all it's been. 48 go in the record books here at Pennsboro.
We are very close to the halfway point. Marshall Green has led every lap. He lost the lead for just about 100 yards in turn 3 early on, but got it back coming off of 4 before the lap was completed.
Good lead for the London, Georgia driver. Wallace right there in the 3rd spot. Bill Fry, Todd Andrews. Now we see Skip Arp and Scott Bloomquist maybe closing up a little bit there as well.
Yes, Bloomquist right behind Arp, and there's about 4 car lengths between Arp and Todd Andrews. The thing about it, buddy, they're running so close. If you put a lot of pressure on the guy in front of you and make a mistake, you don't have to worry about the guy behind you.
And Freddie almost had that mistake, but was fortunate enough to get it down. Now we'll see whether it closes back up between the front 2 machines.
Halfway this time by 50 laps remaining in the Dirt Track World Championship.
Well, it's been full of all kinds of excitement early and major surprises. The attrition rate has grown just a little bit, but we still have had a great Dirt Track World Championship here today.
And the cautions have been spread out enough. And again, Marshall Green has not yet had to contend with any lap traffic. He's got about a half a track between himself and the last place car on the racetrack, Jack Pennington.
And now I believe that Arp and Bloomquist are beginning to get a little more itchy. I'm starting to see those drivers come a little bit harder after Bill Fry and Todd Andrews as they go back into turn 1 and 2.
Well, the front 3 are pulling away as Jack Pennington brings the 01 car back into the pits. The day may be done for the Augusta, Georgia driver, Jack Pennington.
Pulls it behind the trailer as we come back for lap 52. Another Georgia driver up front, Marshall Green. He keeps that state happy right now.
And Knoxville, Tennessee's Freddie Smith in second, Wendell Wallace third. Those 3 cars, buddy, are really checking out now. Bill Fry still in 4th, but nowhere close to the front 3. Caution out, we've got debris on the racetrack going into turn number 1.
Hey, you mentioned those front 3. Bill has been right there, right out there, but not right there. He's just there, and that's about it. He just really can't hang with those front 3, but as you said, we now enter the second half, and strategy now will begin to play out.
So Steve Conley now 15.
Yeah, he slipped back a few moments ago. A couple cars got underneath of him. And Jack Boggs, another driver that we mentioned, along with Rick Eckert and Tim Hitt, just hasn't made any moves to the front.
We're going back to green. Your leader, Marshall Green, will pick up the pace on the back straightaway.
Field tightening up. They'll hit that cone and get up to the gearbox, mash their foot to the floor. Let's see what Marshall Green has here on the restart. Can he open up that lead one more time?
Well, he has certainly been strong all afternoon. Every time the race has restarted, there has been no slippage in Marshall Green.
Back down into turn number 1 and 2. The Dalton, Georgia driver has led every lap. Freddie Smith got around him in turn 3, but Marshall took it right back. He has stolen all 52 laps so far today.
Into 3, the lead about the same. And Freddie able to take his car into 3 just a little deeper, but Marshall's been pretty good coming off of 4. The car wanted to push early on, but it's been sticking down low pretty well now.
And once again, they get a little lead on Wendell Wallace, who runs back there in 3rd spot, followed by Bill Fry, Todd Andrews, Skip Arp, and Scott Bloomquist, nose to tail.
Bloomquist slips a little bit in turn 2 that time as he tried to work underneath Skip Arp, but loses no ground as they exit down down the backstretch.
You know, down something else I have seen, although we have had a few cautions that have only been 5-6 laps apart, Bart Hartman hasn't been making the charge. I'm wondering, is he content right now, or has he lost a little bit? It's, you know,
he may have used up the tires. Maybe he's been a little hard on the tire the first half. He definitely was running that car so hard the first 30 or 40 laps to get up into contention.
Field back in turn 3 and 4 as we get set to put 55 in the record books. Marshall Green continues by about 4 car lengths over Freddie Smith and Wendell Wallace.
That's Bill Fry. Fry able to stay a little closer to the front 3 this time since the green has come back out. He had slipped back a ways before that caution, but right now he's still staying in striking distance.
He's right there. Todd Andrews about 5-6 car lengths back in the number 5 spot. Then you still have Skip Arp and Scott Bloomquist, a pair of Tennessee drivers trying to get to the front.
Andrews' car looks to be real tight, too, in turn 4 as he's leading the car rolling over on the right side, picking that left front wheel off. When I talked to Todd before the race about that happening yesterday, he said that wasn't by design. He wished it wouldn't have been that way, but he was able to ride it out to get the win.
Freddie closes back up on Marshall. We've seen that every time. As he goes into the turns, Marshall puts the foot to the floor and opens up a little bit of a lead as he comes down the straightaway.
57 laps now. 57 laps are complete. Marshall Green, Freddie Smith, Wendell Wallace. They started, of course, Wallace first, Green second, and Smith third. Those 3 cars have dominated here in the first half of the race.
And down, despite the cautions we've had, again, a very fast pace. We have almost got to lap 60 in a very short period of time.
You're right. This race is less than a half hour old. Marshall Green able to hit that same spot into turn 1 lap after lap.
He saw Freddie slip just a little bit, but it looked like he was almost ready to begin to make a challenge once again as he takes it back in 3 and 4. Wallace sticks with him right there in 3rd as they come back up at turn number 4 for lap number 59.
Scott Bloomquist right behind Skip Arp has been able to draw up on Arp's bumper, but really has not been able to threaten him coming down the straightaways in an attempt to make a pass for that spot.
Lead trio back down the back chute. Fry, Andrews still right there with Arp and Bloomquist. No change. Jackie Boggs and Jeff Smith, 2 of the freshmen, along with Marshall Green, still very much alive in that top 10.
And Bart Hartman rounding out your top 10 in car 75, not able to come forward any further after making that great charge early on.
And not to pound the point of the ground, but it also looks like Bart not only may have used something up, he's losing ground to those front 9 drivers. He was right there with Jeff Smith previously, but now he looks like he's losing some ground. Nobody's behind him to challenge. He's comfortably in 10th, but is losing some pace right now.
We have less than 40 laps to go. 39 laps remaining in the Dirt Track World Championship. So, buddy, as we get closer to lap 70, 75, this is when the guys, if they're going to make a charge, they have got to do it.
75 is the number I'm looking at on that scoreboard right now. That's what I'm looking for, and maybe you will see the major challenges in the gambles for $50,000 as a trio comes back to the line.
And still no worries about lap traffic for Marshall Green. The back of the pack still a half a track in front of the race leader.
Just beyond that top 10, Mike Johnson still holding on to 11th position. Mike Duvall back in 12th. 13th, Davey Johnson. 14th to Paul Harris. And R.J. Conley remains on the lead lap back in 15th for you fans that are scoring.
And that is 16th Boggs, 17th Eckert, 18th is Tim Hitt. Then we believe Steve Baker and Harold Redmond. Redmond may be a lap down. He was in the pits early on this afternoon. He may have missed a couple of laps. Freddie Smith now a little closer to Marshall Green. That last lap through turns 1 and 2.
And you know, Dow, I may be wrong. We may not have that concern about lap traffic today, the way cautions have been laid out.
The field is so fast, there's not much difference between front to back that you're right. I mean, unless somebody really slows down, the leaders may never get a chance to get into lap traffic.
Front 3 back in turn 3 and 4, and things are now beginning to get tight from 4th on back. Looks like Bill Fry is being caught by a host of drivers.
Yeah, Todd Andrews, Skip Arp, and Scott Bloomquist. Andrews takes a look-see for a moment to the inside into 3, but can't get there in time. He'll follow Fry through 3 and 4.
Lead trio has about a quarter of a straightaway lead, maybe a little bit more. Todd Andrews is getting inchy. One of the heat race winners, along with Bill Fry, take their battle back in 3 and 4 with Arp and Bloomquist in tow.
Marshall Green, lap after lap, 5-6 car lengths on Freddie Smith. Wendell Wallace about the same distance in third. The race right now is for fourth. Todd Andrews is getting itchy in car 42.
He's right there as they come off the fourth turn, again taking the peak as the leaders head down the front straightaway.
Jack Dogg's able to pick up a spot on that last lap. He's got R.J. Conley down the back straightaway. Also, Rick Ecker was able to get by as well in car 24, back in the pack.
All right, and you know, down, it looked like Freddie was about to make a challenge, and all of a sudden Marshall says, no, I'm going to open up a 3 or 4 car length advantage, and bam, there he is again out front.
Steady Marshall Green having to drive maybe of his young career here this afternoon. We'll find out. We still have 33 laps to go, but thus far he's been tough against some real top-notch veteran drivers behind him.
You wonder what his crew has got to be telling him, or if there's any contact between them whatsoever. You know that Freddie's there. Say, watch out for maybe lap 75. This is when he's going to go for it.
I'm sure if he's not talking much to them, they're probably not saying much to him. He looks to be in a really good rhythm. I mean, he's running lap after lap. The times are consistent, and that's what you need.
He's in his own zone right now, and he holds about a 3-4 car length advantage. It closes back up in turn 3 and 4. Wallace not far back as they come off turn number 4. Challenge may be forthcoming.
Yeah, Freddie was able to really close in on Marshall going down the back straightaway that last lap. Next time by, just 30 more laps to go, and Freddie Smith all of a sudden looks like he's trying to pick up the pace on Marshall Green.
3-4 car lengths back, you'll find Wendell Wallace in third. They are opening up that gap. Now, Bill Fry was about to be challenged. Now he seems comfortable back in fourth. Todd Andrews in fifth.
They seem like they go in spurts. They'll put a charge on for a lap or two, but they're not able to keep it up. I don't know if it's the guy in front of them maybe slowing down or missing the line a bit, or if they're just unable to, keep.
I also thought Skip Arp and Scott Bloomquist, it looked like they were ready to make a charge. Now they've settled down back in 6th and 7th positions, followed by Jackie Boggs and Jeff Smith.
29 laps. 29 laps remaining. 29 laps remaining.
All right, strategy time here in the Dirt Track World Championship. And it's Marshall Green opening up that lead just a little bit more. Smith remains in second, Wallace in third. Half straightaway lead for the front 3 drivers. Will it be decided between these 3 today?
Look at that lead. It's grown for Marshall Green. It has grown. He does seem to get maybe a little better the longer the race goes, Green.
Well, now that's the biggest lead I've seen him have all day, and that's saying a lot. I mean, that's only about 3-4 car lengths. That's at the interval all day long here.
Yeah, he hasn't had much breathing room from the start. Todd Andrews, Skip Arp, and Scott Bloomquist again right behind Bill Fry, looking like they want to make a run there.
All right, front 4, I should say those next 4 nose to tail. 2 other cars are now beginning to catch up, that being Jackie Boggs and Jeff Smith. Bart Hartman remains lonesome on the track in 10th position.
We're closing in on magical number 75, which means we'll have just 25 laps to go here shortly. Just 25 laps to go in a couple of more circuits.
Marshall Green leads them back to the stripe. 74 on the board. Dow, is he looking at that scoreboard hard every time he goes by?
Well, I'm sure he's paying close attention. That's a great spot for a lap counter because when you're coming down the front straightaway, it's right in the driver's full view. The thing that impresses me is, again, he is starting to look stronger and stronger here.
And Freddie Smith probably cool as he can be as he rides back there in the number 2 spot. Wallace remains in third.
They have got almost now a full straightaway with the 4th place car of Bill Fry. So right now, buddy, it's shaping up as a 3-car battle.
These 3 have really picked up the pace as they work down the back straightaway. Don't know what it is time-wise, but they are breaking away even farther from Bill Fry. Andrews now beginning to look again underneath of Bill Fry as he went down the back chute.
They're also starting to close in on a couple of the back markers. Steve Baker and Harold Redburn are now less than a straightaway in front of the lead trio, so lap traffic could still play a factor.
This is about the longest stint we've had of green flag racing this afternoon. As Dow mentioned, lap traffic possibly eventually could play a determining role in deciding a $50,000 payday.
Green, Smith, and Wallace. Fry still 4th. Andrews is 5th.
Skip Arp right behind him in the 7th spot. Bloomquist 8th, followed by Jackie Boggs, Jeff Smith, Bart Hardman, Mike Johnson, Mike Duvall, and Davey Johnson.
Boy, Art Bloomquist and Jackie Boggs are really bunched together. Steve Baker is off the pace in car 84, slowing down in front of the leaders. Baker looked like he was smoking a bit, so he may be going to the pits. And the Phil Luke on Rev Fab 84 as your leaders move by him off the 2nd turn.
That's a big break for the leaders, as you just mentioned. He was one of the cars that they were about to come upon. Now Harold Redmond is about a full turn in front of the front 3 drivers as they come off turn 4.
Baker limps that car into turn number 3, still up to speed. Looks like he'll have enough speed to get into the pit area.
Trio heads back into 3 and make it 1 and 2, and they tighten themselves back up here on lap number 79. We'll have 20 to go here at Pennsboro in the Dirt Track World Championship when Marshall Green, Freddie Smith, and Wendell Wallace bring it back down. We got 20 circuits left.
20 laps to go. It has been a fast afternoon here at Pennsboro Speedway, and Marshall Green's lead continues to be steady.
Is it my imagination, or am I seeing smoke from the tail end of a Marshall Green machine, or is it this smoke window up here? It looks like the number 89, something looked funny, but maybe not. I don't mean to strike fear into some people.
I don't know. We'll have to keep a close eye on that. If it isn't, maybe it's tire smoke coming off the turn, but it's not slowing him down if there's anything coming. Yeah, there is definitely some smoke coming out from looks like the left rear.
You know, he's gaining a little bit of a lead. He's getting more of a lead right now over the rest of the field. Freddie Smith is dropping back in second. Marshall, that's the biggest lead he's had, and he's smoking right now.
Well, maybe there's some moisture coming back. Maybe there's some oil that might be fogging up Smith's face shield, or maybe he's going to sit and we'll see if something goes wrong and take over the lead. But yeah, look at that. When he puts the brake on especially, it looks like.
And that could lead to him pushing right up the speedway and letting Freddie Smith and Wendell Wallace underneath, but he enjoys the biggest lead he has had so far this afternoon with 18 laps to go.
Yeah, he is pulling away right now. It would be heartbreak if there were to be a mechanical failure for Marshall Green. The car smoking as he enters turn number 1. Watch it. There it goes again.
We saw that with Todd Andrews in the heat race yesterday towards the very end, and of course it ended up being some rear end trouble on the car. The cover of the rear end had come completely off the machine, but right now Marshall Green is stroking out there on the speedway.
Can't tell if it's coming from under the rear wheel, the left rear wheel, or no, it looks like Davey Johnson may have lost a motor. Davey Johnson.
Could this spell trouble under caution for Marshall Green? We'll see what happens, but Davey Johnson with a great run coming to a halt here on lap number 84.
He is limping off the second turn down the back straightaway. He is going to come to a stop on the racetrack. Caution is out for the 48 of Davey Johnson. And if it's the motor and if it's blown, if the motor is blown, that'll be the second engine that race team has lost here this weekend. They lost one on Friday as well. I don't know if it just overheated or if he did lose the whole power plant. Well, another car overheating here this afternoon, the John Sewing 48. And again, fans, if you weren't noticing, Marshall Green was starting to trail some smoke in car 89. We're not sure if it's from the left rear of the car or maybe it was coming out of the header on the left side at the end of the straightaway.
It kind of looked like it was towards the front of the machine, and we don't know whether he's going to be able to make it the final 16 laps, but we did notice one thing. When we noticed the smoke, we noticed a bigger lead by Marshall Green as well. He started pulling away from Freddie Smith.
And I think Freddie is motioning to the Stars officials down there that Marshall has got some oil or something maybe coming back that's causing visibility problems for him. Whatever the case, Green's lead was growing.
That was a $50,000 gesture that Freddie Smith just made to an official. This guy is having some problems. I can't believe at one point, then things settled down until this caution coming out for Davey Johnson. Apparent overheating problems on car number 48, bringing him down into the pits. Yeah, see that slipping and sliding, as you did mention, down. It's been a very good and competitive Dirt Track World Championship from those front three, and then you go back for fourth position on back, and they have been very tightly bunched together.
Hasn't been much passing up in front, but boy, the lead has never really been big. Marshall Green's had his biggest lead there before the last caution. He seems to get faster as the race stays green longer, and we just had our longest stretch of green flags so far, and there's 16 laps to go.
Lap left to go. Race having a pretty decent run this afternoon, just outside the top 10.
And that smoke reappeared as Marshall Green took off in car 89. 16 laps to go, folks. The Dirt Track World Championship is back underway.
And Marshall Green quickly stomps the foot to the floor, opens up about a 2-car length advantage as he goes back into 1 and 2. We will be intently watching that machine here in the final 16 circuits.
Freddie Smith going to try and stay right with the young driver out of Dalton, Georgia, and put that pressure on him he had earlier in this race when he was able to make a pass, but ended up losing it. Scott Bloomquist picks up another spot.
Big move for Bloomquist late in the race. He goes to the number 6 spot. The 0 car is coming back in 6th spot, started in 16.
15 laps to go now. 15 laps to go. Caution is out this time. It's the 10 of Paul Harris. Car 10, Paul Harris, in turn number 4 to bring out the caution. That has been a problem spot. That's about 3 cars now we've had that have been parked right there at the entrance to the pit in turn number 4. Paul Harris this time out of Pilgrim, Kentucky, one of our 2 fast qualifiers who weren't able to make it through the heat race that had to start near the back this afternoon, just some quietly riding around out there trying to pick up spots where he could. Machine, and we're ready to go back to Green Buddy with 15 laps. That is it. Less than a heat race. blurb of smoke, but it doesn't appear to be steady or something that gets progressively worse. At least it hasn't so far.
And he's certainly hoping that will be the case as they work it back to the stripe here on lap 85. And again, a couple 3-car lengths advantage on the get-go.
Oh, that Warrior chassis is just roaring off the turns. He has got the setup, and if the tires last again, he is going to be a tough man to pass. He is red hot on the restart.
Time running out for Freddie Smith. He also pulls away from Wendell Wallace as it's Bill Fry in the number 4 spot. Top 5 made up by Todd Andrews.
I had worries about Green early in the race in turn 4. Both Wallace and Smith took chances at him on the inside coming off, but as the race has gone on, if you've watched, his car seems to be the best coming off the 4th turn, or the 3 right now.
Front 9 cars pull away from the rest of the field as they head back down freight train style into turn 3 and 4. Dalton, Georgia's Marshall Green bringing it back for lap number 87.
Comfortable lead, steady lead over Freddie Smith, as good as it's been here for the last few laps. Wallace by himself in 3rd, Fry in 4th, able to stay with the front 3 for a while. We'll see if he's able to keep that up.
Scott Bloomquist took a peek on Skip Harp in turn 1 and 2. It wasn't there. He wants to get that spot, but can't do it as they stay single file in 3 and 4. Green brings them back to the stripe one more time.
And the front 3 now starting to pull away again. Fry still 4th, Andrews 5th, and Harp, Bloomquist, Boggs, and Jeff Smith.
Well, Bill Fry evidently has got to be happy after the fuel pump changes and everything else. Everything has gone right for the Greenbrier, Arkansas driver. A very steady 4th place run today.
Yeah, he's been there, and he's had guys behind him putting the pressure on the entire distance, but you're right, he's been rock solid. And Marshall Green, that lead continues to grow by another car length on that last lap. Just 11 more circuits to go.
Hasn't been the biggest lead he's had so far this afternoon, but he's got about 3-4 car lengths. He starts to open it up just a little bit more, and I almost wondered if something was wrong with Freddie right before that caution came out, because he started to drop back, and Wendell was right there ready to pressure him.
Well, the smoke is still there right in the middle to the end of the straightaway on the 89 car, but thus far it has not been enough to slow him down.
Under the caution, Freddie Smith made the gesture that something was leaking possibly from the Marshall Green machine. The officials feel everything's okay, but you can see that tail of smoke down as he goes down the straightaway.
9 more laps to go. Will be the biggest win of his career. Marshall Green has been your leader from the start.
Heads him back down into turn number 3 and 4. Make it 1 and 2 as Freddie Smith just a couple car lengths back in 2nd. Wallace in 3rd. It'll be Bill Fry, Todd Andrews, Skip Harp, Scott Bloomquist and company.
Well, 4 on back, 4 through 10, 4 through 9. They're really bunched up there as they race into 3. Fry, Andrews, you said Harp, Bloomquist, Boggs, and Smith.
Back to the line for lap number 92. 8 to go, and it's Marshall Green looking hard at that scoreboard and keeping an ear out the window, trying to figure where Freddie Smith is.
Smith, if he's got anything left, has got to go now.
Freddie saw it that one time, and it's been a long time since he's been able to get up there and make that challenge.
7 laps, just 7 more laps.
Now that smoke is getting more intent every time he goes around. He's fighting the lap counter right now.
And I'm sure these will be the longest 7 laps of Marshall Green's racing career.
Freddie Smith is closing in turn 3 and 4. Marshall Green is right there with Smith and Wallace. We could have a challenge.
Yeah, you're right, Green. It sounds like the motor's going sour, buddy. It sounds like it's starting to break up on Marshall Green. He's just hoping the Band-Aid will hold for 6 more laps, but I don't know.
Smith is only a couple car lengths back. If Marshall Green wins, he's going to get everything out of that motor that he possibly can. It's 5 to go off turn 4.
Listen to it. It sounds like it's sour. A flat sound of the 89 in that grab. That smoke is really intensifying with 5 laps to go.
2 drivers chomping at the bit. We got a pair of rookies, Jackie Boggs and Jeff Smith, fall the back of the field, and Boggs hits the inside retaining wall. Johnson, Hardman, a host of drivers getting together over in turn 2.
That may be death for Marshall Green. We'll see if that motor is going to last. I don't know. The right quarter panel now has been shredded away from the 89 machine.
Lap 95. We had a battle between a couple of our new time drivers back in 8th and 9th spot, that being Jackie Boggs and Jeff Smith. Boggs went down to the inside, hit the retaining wall or some type of berm down there, and that just sent him right up in the racing traffic. Bart Hartman, one of the drivers that got involved, and many others.
Laps to go.
Now it's coming for a front car. Right, left front tire down.
The left-hander pipe blowing a lot of blue smoke on the Marshall Green 89. They're going to straighten out his right rear quarter panel, but I'm sure he's not going to park this thing. If he has anything left under the hood, he's going to stay out there and hope it'll last.
If you're a Marshall Green fan or not, you got to feel for him. I can't believe there's many that have been rooting against him today after the incredible weekend that he's got, and you got to feel for him. If that car goes to the pits, that is going to be sheer misery for the Dalton, Georgia driver.
Tell you what, it is smoking real bad. It's starting to miss now, just a little bit. It started to gather mist about 2 or 3 laps to go, and now it is really smoking. So he's got 5 more laps to go. And I tell you, I don't know if he's going to make it or not, Dow.
Round 11th, 12th position, battling back there with R.J. Conley and his own brother Davey for a while before Davey dropped down with some overheating problems. But I still got to believe, no matter what, Mike Johnson's going to leave this racetrack with somewhat of a smile on his face, a moral victory of sorts. I know he doesn't want to hear that. I know he knows he could have done a lot better.
5 laps to go. Marshall Green refires that smoking motor.
Freddie Smith praying that he can get around the number 89 and collect his 5th record dirt track world championship. Green is out back here at Pennsboro.
Definite sick engine under the hood. It just doesn't sound ripe like it did early in this race, but he's only got 5 laps. Marshall Green down the back straightaway, your leader.
And once again, Dow, he begins to open up a little advantage down the straightaway. Freddie Smith closes to within a car length in turn 3 and 4. Wallace is right there in 3rd.
The loss of horsepower may help on a slick track. Caution is back out. This time it's Bill Fry, our 4th place car. 4th place car, Bill Fry, brings out the caution. We still have 5 laps to go, and buddy, these cautions cannot be helping Marshall Green.
Oh, they're killers, and you mentioned it a while ago. He's just got to be agonizing right now because the clock is on him. It's just a matter of time, he knows, before something's finally just going to give way on the number 89. But a tough break for Bill Fry. They made a fuel pump change and some other changes prior to the start. And for the GRT Racing team, Johnny Bird had already, they are already starting to load that 1V up. They're pushing it out of the way so Bill Fry can get down in the pit.
Right rear tire is flat. Right rear tire is flat on the 6th
for the Green. 95 in the record books here at Pennsboro. And back down to the floor goes the foot of Marshall Green. He'll hold on for the final 5 circuits.
Still able to pull coming off that 4th turn. The motor that hasn't run right of late really still hasn't slowed him down on the track. If there's a lack of horsepower, it hasn't shown thus far.
I hate to say it, but I'm just waiting for something to get on those wheels and make him slip up just enough to allow Freddie Smith underneath of him. Will it happen? We'll find out.
Bart Hartman high off the 2nd turn. The Bart Hartman in car 75 looks like a flat tire for the Bart man. The Hartman Truck Center 75 limping to a stop. Not yet. He's still coasting. He's still coasting into turn 3.
That's going to be a big help to Marshall Green. They could have thrown the yellow out right there. That puts 1 more lap in the record books. As they head down, we will possibly see the yellow as Hartman finally comes to a halt over in turn number 3 and 4.
Caution is out. Bart Hartman appears to have a flat tire. Hartman appears to have a flat tire on the 75. We'll be bringing that car into the pits after that big run from the back of the pack into the top 10.
On that car, and obviously he was one of the strong horses early in today's Dirt Track World Championship. As we mentioned, starting 26th and going to the number 10 spot. He pulls it behind the trailer and looks like possibly, well, could be the same problems that hurt him back in the B main.
Well, Marshall Green is really pacing the field at a fast pace right now, buddy. He is pacing the field at a fast pace. The car may be getting hot. I don't think he
gets set for the restart. Down the back chute. Let's see what Marshall Green can do. 4 to go this time.
They only able to get 1 lap in. The last green flag, just 1 lap before the caution, and Marshall Green is hoping there are no more cautions.
Well, keeping an eye on the scoreboard, keeping an eye on the gauges, keeping an eye on Freddie Smith. Marshall Green is a very busy man right now as he works off turn number 2.
You remember last weekend at Syracuse, New York, Danny Johnson took the big 300 win there with nothing but blue smoke behind him. Do we have that 2 weeks in a row in dirt track racing?
Very good possibility as Green brings him back for lap number 97. It's Smith about 2 car lengths back in 2nd. Wallace in 3rd. Todd Andrews and Skip Arp the top 5.
Marshall Green, Freddie Smith, and Wendell Wallace. He's still able to pull away, actually, in the 89. Again, the horsepower has not gone away from that power plant.
And some of the signals that Green's looking for. The white and the checkered. 2 to go. This time by. And the fans are cheering for Marshall Green.
Also, from that hit on the right rear quarter panel, the right side of the spoiler, the right fin on the outside of the rear spoiler was starting to go loose in the 89, which could affect the handling.
He wiggled a little in turn number 1 and 2 moments ago. Freddie is right there, just a car length back down. Make the call as we DTWC, the popular signal coming from the flag stand.
1 lap to go. What a storybook it would be. Storybook finish for Marshall Green. We're on to the final circuit of the 17th Dirt Track World Championship.
Wiggles through turn 1 and 2, holds the lead down the back straightaway. Marshall Green opens the lead up just a little bit more. We take it to turn 3 and 4.
He is looking strong out of Dalton, Georgia. He was the second fast qualifier. Contact for second. Marshall Green will win. They're banging for second. Smith second. Third to Andrews.
Oh, what a finish. And Marshall Green is one happy camper here this afternoon.
Reddy Smith slipped in turn 3 and 4. When he did, he and Wendell Wallace banged wheels coming for that second spot. Smith was able to recover for second. Todd Andrews was able to come to third in car 42. But your winner of the 17th running of the Dirt Track World Championship from Dalton, Georgia. He made it, folks. How about a nice hand for Marshall Green?
Hang on, okay. Take your time, Marshall. Take your time. Take your time. Congratulations, my man. Hang on, take your time. You running Hoosiers? Okay, let's get this on that way. Stars out on there. Marshall, there's some water up there if you want it. That's my mom. You ready? Okay, wait a minute, buddy.
Man, we didn't think you were going to make it.
Well, when you said pray, I'll tell you one thing, I was doing a lot of that. I've got to give God all the credit because I tell you what, when I seen this thing smoking early there for a couple laps to go, I said, Lord, we've come this far.